Chapter 11:26. West, you try Agars? Agars turned his head and looked at Qin Zhao. Should I kill him? No, no, Qin Zhao hurriedly stopped Agars. Forget it. Don't try. With Agars's personality, who knew if she wouldn't know how to control her strength and directly blow up West's head? West, forget it. It was too tiring to speak human language and demon language to Agars at the same time. Agars, you'd better use your bow and arrow to find something to shoot at. Anything? Can I shoot whoever I want? Hearing Agars's tone, Qin Zhao had a bad feeling. Don't shoot living things or buildings, Qin Zhao added, just shoot at the surface of the lake. There are fish in the lake, Agars said. I told you to shoot. Don't talk nonsense. Qin Zhao was getting impatient. Do you want me to shoot as hard as I can? All right, shoot with all your strength. They came to the lake. Agars picked up his bow, nocked an arrow, and pulled the string. Agars's bow was already pulled to a full moon. Everyone stared at Agars. She'd been preparing for too long. Qin Zhao checked the time. Agars had been pulling the bow for 30 seconds. Just then, Agars's hand loosened slightly. The arrow left the bowstring and instantly pierced the surface of the lake 100 meters away. Boom! A huge water pillar shot into the sky, as if a torpedo had been detonated in the lake. Everyone stared at Agars, dumbfounded. It was almost as powerful as a small rocket, right? Soon, a large number of dead fish floated to the surface of the lake. Qin Zhao was secretly shocked. Agars's attack was really powerful. However, it took too long to charge up. It needed more than 30 seconds. Agars, can't you attack quickly? Yes, but I can't make it so powerful, Agars said. Agars said, I have a lockdown mode, a group attack mode, and a killing mode. That was the killing mode I used just now. What's group attack mode like? Agars took out another arrow and knocked it on the bowstring. This time, it didn't take as long to charge up. It only took 10 seconds. Qin Zhao was confused. It was only an arrow. How could it be a group attack? The arrows suddenly turned into dozens of arrows in midair, and then fell to the ground like meteors. Boom, boom, boom. Each arrow exploded like a grenade. This AoE attack mode was like dozens of grenades exploding at the same time. The entire lake was a mess, and the water was tumbling and turbid. West was amazed and secretly delighted. With Agars joining, the association's strength had increased significantly. What about lockdown mode? Lockdown mode can only be used on living creatures. West, try Agars's lockdown mode. Guild leader, she won't kill me, right? No, she's very obedient. All right. West was still worried and looked at Agars with trepidation. Regardless of whether Agars understood or not, he begged for mercy. Agars, be gentle. Agars knocked another arrow and shot it at West. Qin Zhao was shocked too. West was so frightened that he used his slow field. In an instant, Agars's arrow stopped in front of West for a second. West covered his head and scurried away. Only then did the arrow advance again. But the arrow was like a homing missile. It clearly turned around and chased after West. West looked back and saw the arrow chasing after him. Right now, West could no longer use the slow field. The arrow was about to hit him. Suddenly, the arrow exploded into a cloud of white mist, enveloping West. When the white mist dissipated, West's body was covered in a layer of what looked like frost. West was rooted to the spot like a statue. He also maintained his running posture. Agars's variety of attacks surprised Qin Zhao, but what surprised him more wasn't Agars. In Qin Zhao's mind, Agars's ability was inevitable. Instead, it was West who used the slow field in that instant. He actually managed to make the arrows stop. In the past, West could at most make people slow down in the field, but his power seemed to have increased a lot. More and more people came to the association. They all knew Agars's identity without blinking. On the other hand, Aduz explained to them one by one. The seal that Agars put on West lasted for half an hour before West was able to escape. Everyone, get to know each other. Qin Zhao had Agars and the others recognize each other. Everyone was curious about Agars's strange appearance. Agars doesn't understand the human language. Communicate with her more often and let her understand it as soon as possible. Agars, come with me. I have some questions for you. Agars followed behind Chinzhao. Agars, are you Belial's subordinate? Chinzhao asked. King Belial sealed me in the demon god pillar. I'm not his subordinate. Whoever has the demon god pillar is the master. Agars's words made Chinzhao even more certain that Agars was one of the 72 demon god pillars. Do you know a crocodile monster? He's also a servant of the demon god pillar. Celios. He's the representative of the manic side. What's the manic side? Back then, King Belial lent the 72 of us to Solomon. The 72 are divided into the neutral, manic, and submissive. The manic side doesn't think that humans have the right to control us, so they aren't willing to cooperate with Solomon's command. That's why Solomon forged a chain for the manic side and the manic side. What about you? Are you a neutral or a submissive? I'm a submissive. Agars's answer didn't surprise Chinzhao. Then what's the neutral side's position? They're loyal to King Belial, but they don't reject human domination. After all, to us, human life is too short. Us, on the other hand, have nearly infinite life. What's the use of the chain? Can a chain make the manic side serve and obey? No. The chain's use is for the master of the demon god pillar to borrow the magic of the tamed monster. Chinzhao nodded. No wonder the crocodile monster could break the chain. Do you know where the other demon god pillars are? Before Solomon died, he split us up and sent us to different corners of the world. Chapter 11:27. I don't know, Agars said. I don't know what happened either. Do you have any restrictions on your movements? No, but I can't be more than 5 miles away from the demon god pillars. One last question. Can you change your tone? Agars still stared at Chinzhao coldly. Chinzhao had a rough understanding. The demon god pillar couldn't completely restrain a familiar's will. Every familiar had its own personality. The only restriction was that the familiar couldn't attack the user. After staying in the association for 2 hours, Chinzhao went to Stephen's set. Today, Stephen was filming an outdoor scene. It was the building where Stephen and Rasva had been kidnapped. Because the kidnapping had gone viral on the internet, the abandoned building in the suburbs had become a tourist spot for many people. Stephen had bought the land a long time ago. He knew very well that after the movie was released, the value of the land would increase again. Stephen wasn't just an excellent director. He was also an excellent businessman. He knew when he needed to invest and when he couldn't. When Chinzhao arrived at the set, Stephen was explaining the scene to a few actors. 2 of them were Wang He and Chen Ku, but Chinzhao remembered that Chen Ku didn't have any scenes here. Of course, this was based on the actual situation. Chinzhao hadn't read Stephen's script carefully, so he didn't know if the plot had been changed. The other 2 main actors were 2 old men. They should be playing Rasva and Stephen respectively. In the script, they were friends who loved each other and killed each other for life. They were set to fall in love with the same woman when they were young. Later, the woman married Stephen. Later, Rasva became a big boss and Stephen became a big director. However, the 2 were like enemies in the beginning. They schemed and slandered each other. Chinzhao's bodyguard was Rasva's adopted son and then Stephen's bodyguard. Chinzhao didn't know if Stephen had set up this character to satisfy his own bad taste. Chinzhao looked at Stephen from afar and didn't disturb him. Stephen seemed to sense something. He turned his head and looked in Chinzhao's direction. Jerry, come and film the later scenes for me. Stephen called the assistant director over. Chinzhao recognized Jerry. He was also an important assistant in Stephen's team. Unexpectedly, he was promoted to assistant director this time. Jerry knew James's path. He knew that James had gotten the chance because he was close to Chinzhao. So, whenever Chinzhao came to the set, Jerry would come and greet him whenever he was free. Stephen walked over. Chin, why are you here today? I'm looking for Gaia. By the way, where's Gaia? Why don't I see her? Gaia has gone to deal with some trouble, Stephen said. Trouble? Did someone cause trouble for your crew? Chinzhao asked. No, it's just the paparazzi who want to take photos of the crew, Stephen said. It was also because Stephen's movie had received too much attention. Therefore, Too many entertainment media outlets wanted to dig up the latest insider information about Steven's movie. Some paparazzi even crossed the mountains, trying to enter the set from other directions. These paparazzi are so annoying. There was even a paparazzi who snuck into the set and ran into the actress' dressing room. Gaia was furious. After listening to Steven's explanation, Chen Zhao was enlightened. Gaia was the only one who could solve this problem. "How's the filming going?" Chen Zhao asked. "Not bad. That Chinese actor is okay." If Wang He knew that Steven had a good review, he would probably wake up laughing in his dreams. Of course, it was only good because Steven was filming a commercial film, not an art film. Acting only required the feeling. It wasn't like an art film where one's gaze had to convey a lot of content. Just then, Gaia returned to the set. "Hey, Chen, how come you're free today?" Chen Zhao glanced at Steven. "Did you guys discuss to use the same question to open the show?" "You guys talk. I'm going to watch the scene." Steven bade farewell to Gaia and left. Chen Zhao took out 2 potions and gave them to Gaia. "These are yours. You can't use them separately or all at once. If there's a long interval, the second time will lose its effect. You can only increase your magic power once." "Got it. Are you here to give me the potions?" "Also, we have a special member." "Special member?" Gaia looked up at Chen Zhao. "What kind of special?" "You've heard of Solomon's 72 demon god pillars, right?" "I had a university education, after all." Gaia rolled her eyes. "There is a demon god pillar in our association. I summoned a familiar called Agars." "Oh? I'll go take a look after the crew's work is done." Hearing about the familiar, Gaia was also interested. The next day, Evely came to Chen Zhao's house. She also brought a small gift for Fei Lai. After all, she was a guest. Evely's social skills were quite good. Little Jerlin had seen Evely once, but it was 2 or 3 months ago. She couldn't remember Evely at all. She just tilted her head and looked at Evely. But Jerlin wasn't afraid of strangers at all. Some kids would hide behind their elders when they saw strangers. But soon she lost interest in Evely. Little Jerlin didn't even bother to wear clothes at home. She just ran around in diapers or jumped into the lake to play. There were no open-crotch pants in America. Even kids weren't allowed to wear them. There was once a Chinese woman who took her child for a walk in the park for the first time. A passerby called the police because her child was wearing open-crotch pants. Of course, this was a difference in customs. You couldn't say which was better or worse. Everyone had their own pros and cons. Some kids in America were used to diapers, so they still wore them when they were in their teens. They still needed them when they slept at night. Without them, they would wet the bed. But open-crotch pants weren't all good. They could make it easier for kids to pee, but they weren't hygienic. However, open-crotch pants were not hygienic. After all, a child's lower body was exposed, and it was easy to cause some infections. In short, the laws in the United States were very strict on the protection of children. In China, parents were the ones who were overly protective of kids. Chapter 11:28. Before Evely entered the water, Jerlin jumped in first. And what made her feel strange was that Jerlin actually swam to the center of the lake alone. How far was it from the center of the lake? It was at least 1,000 meters away. Most adults wouldn't be able to swim that far. But Jerlin swam more than 1,000 meters by herself. "Chen, is Jerlin that fit?" "She's been soaking in the water every day since she came to this house," Chen Zhao said. Evely had heard Chen Zhao say that the lake water here had something beneficial to the human body. It could greatly improve a person's body. It seemed that Jerlin had been soaking in the lake since she was young. Her body was much stronger than other children her age. After all, Evely had never seen a child less than half a year old with such good stamina. But normal families probably wouldn't let their children play in the water. When Jerlin played in the water, the family's pets would always follow. Ever since Evely had seen Jerlin, she'd always had pets by her side. Black Ma and White Ma were always by little Jerlin's side. They were like full-time nannies, moving from land to water. "Chin, is Jerlin going to be a swimmer in the future?" "If she's willing," Chen Zhao said. "I won't choose any path for her." Evely really envied a father like Chen Zhao. Compared to her father, If she hadn't made a name for herself in the swimming world, her future would probably be fixed too. But now, Evely was completely out of her father's control. The price was that she had to be a free spokesperson for the family business. Evely's income now was probably not even comparable to her family business. She earned hundreds of millions of dollars from events, advertisements, and endorsements every year. This was also a level that only top sports stars could reach. Go into the water first. Swim 5 laps in a straight line, Chinzhao said. You don't have to rush. Just enjoy the lake water. Eat at my place for lunch. After Evely went into the water, Chinzhao and Feilai laid on the recliners in the front yard and basked in the sun. The temperature was a bit high today. It was already 28 degrees at 9 in the morning. Chin, is this how you coach? Feilai was speechless. What's the point of me going into the water? Chen Zhao had already swum 20 laps in the morning. By the way, I found another demon god pillar yesterday. I'll take you to see it in the afternoon. He found the second demon god pillar so quickly? I didn't really find it. It has always been in the headquarters of the association, but I didn't pay attention to it. Yesterday, I suddenly found a demon god pillar in the headquarters. To be honest, even Chen Zhao felt that it was too much of a coincidence. What is that demon god like? Wait, let's not talk about it. Let me see for myself. If you tell me, it won't feel fresh anymore. After a morning of training, Evely had a great appetite. Moreover, the lunch Chen Zhao had prepared today was all suitable for Evely. This was a feast for Evely. Evely even felt that the meal had made her more energetic. In the afternoon, Chen Zhao trained Evely for another 2 hours and then sent her away. Then he brought Feilai and Zhilin to the headquarters of the association. After entering the headquarters, Feilai saw the demon god pillar standing on the empty ground. Where's the demon god? Where is it? I don't know. Chen Zhao brought Feilai into the building and stopped Patya, who was walking toward them. Patya, where's Agar's? Mr. West is teaching Agar's English. He's in the meeting room. Feilai turned to look at Chen Zhao. What the hell was English? Chen Zhao brought Feilai to the meeting room and saw Agar's tall figure squeezed in. Even though she was sitting on the ground, she still had to lower her head. If she raised her head, she would touch the chandelier above her head. West stood in front, a blackboard hanging in front of him. Hello, Agar said to Chen Zhao. This was the only word she'd learned today. Chen, is she the demon god? Feilai looked at Agar's curiously. Zhilin, who was in her arms, was even more surprised. Zhilin wanted to leave Feilai's arms and jump into Agar's arms. Feilai put Zhilin on the ground. Zhilin was already on Agar's body, climbing onto Agar's chest. Then Zhilin lifted Agar's hide to cover her chest and opened her mouth to bite. Chen Zhao covered his head with his hand, speechless. The scene was very awkward. But what was unexpected was that Agar seemed very calm. Carefully holding Zhilin with his claws, he pulled her away from his chest. Master, is this your child? Agar asked. Yes. She has an extraordinary life. Her future is pure and bright. No matter who it was, they would feel proud when someone praised their child. Chen Zhao was no exception. He was very happy with Agar's words. This is for you. Chen Zhao tossed a perfect demonic crystal to Agar's. Agar's accepted the crystal. She didn't expect Chen Zhao to be so generous as to give her something so valuable. So this is your wife? Yes. The child in her stomach will be filled with golden light. You can see the future? I can see the light of the future. It's my special ability, Agar said. Everyone will have different colors of lights. What about me? Chaotic colors. Countless colors interweave together. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I can't tell good from bad with complicated colors. Does every tamed monster have a special ability? Every tamed monster in the 72 demon god pillars has a special ability, Agar said. What's Celio's special ability? He can obtain magic from any environment with temperature. His magic is almost limitless. Wasn't this ability the same as Lisa? Lisa could also absorb and release heat. However, Lisa couldn't be like Celio's. She couldn't feel any pain even when her body was ignited. According to Agars, she could borrow the magic of the tamed monster through the chain. If Celios was still alive, then he could use this characteristic of Celios to obtain nearly unlimited mana. Chapter 1129. Jerlin was tired after playing for a while at the headquarters. There were no animals here. She wanted to go home. Chen Zhao and Fei Lai could only take Jerlin home. On the way home, Chen Zhao received Laura's call. "Hey, Chen, can you come over? Johnny's hurt." Chen Zhao was stunned. Then he immediately said, "Okay, I'll be right there." After Chen Zhao hung up, Fei Lai asked, "What's wrong?" "Risfar's hurt," Chen Zhao said. "What's the situation?" "I don't know the details." Chen Zhao turned and drove toward Beverly Hills. 10 minutes later, Chen Zhao arrived at Risfar's house. The security guard immediately opened the door for him. Laura stood at the door, waiting for Chen Zhao's arrival. After Chen Zhao and Fei Lai got out, Jerlin immediately yelled in Fei Lai's arms, "Auntie Laura, hug." Laura squeezed out a smile and caught Jerlin. "Laura, how's Johnny?" Johnny was attacked by a shark. Chen Zhao sucked in a breath of cold air. "Take me to him." When Chen Zhao entered Risfar's bedroom, he realized that Del was there too. "Chen, you're here." Chen Zhao nodded and turned to look at Risfar on the bed. He wasn't as bloody as Chen Zhao had imagined, but he looked really weak. "Didn't you say that Johnny was attacked by a shark?" "Johnny and I were surfing on the beach," Del said. "His surfboard was hit by a shark and Johnny was hit by a rock at the bottom of the sea." Thankfully, Chen Zhao heaved a sigh of relief. It was just a bump. He wasn't bitten by a shark directly. That was a good thing. Usually, when a shark bit someone, the shark's teeth would cause great damage to the victim. If the main artery was bitten, not even an ambulance would be able to get there in time. "Move aside," Chen Zhao said. "I'll check." Chen Zhao lifted Risfar's blanket to check his injuries. There was a very obvious bruise on the left side of his abdomen to his upper ribs. Chen Zhao reached out and pressed down. The unconscious Risfar suddenly screamed. Laura heard Risfar scream and immediately ran to the door. "It's okay. Laura, stay with Fei Lai outside," Chen Zhao comforted. Chen Zhao looked at Sfar. "You're awake? Why are you here?" "Be gentle," Risfar said weakly. "If you get hurt next time, call an ambulance first, not me," Chen Zhao said in annoyance. "Doctors aren't as insured as you," Del said. "The ambulance came faster than me." Chen Zhao glared at Del. "Johnny isn't just injured. He also has water in his lungs." "Is Johnny okay?" "He won't be able to walk for half a month." Chen Zhao started treating Risfar. Chen Zhao took out a syringe and pierced it into the lung. Then he started extracting the lung fluid. "The next time you get hurt, call an ambulance immediately. I happen to be outside this time, so it's not far from here." I got it, Del replied, trying to cope. Chen Zhao started setting Risfar's bones. His ribs weren't comminuted. Instead, they were dislocated due to the impact, so it wasn't difficult to treat. However, there was some muscle damage. Risfar endured the pain until Chen Zhao stopped. Then he complained, "Chen, can you give me some anesthetic? Where did you meet the shark while surfing?" "Shoal. That's one of the few places with high waves." "Oh, where's Ronnie and Vera? Why aren't they here?" "Laura was afraid that they'd see their dad get hurt," Del said. "She sent them to my house and let them play with Faith. Good thing it's not fatal." Chen Zhao heaved a sigh of relief. "Oh, I bought a beach. I'm building a villa there now. The waves are pretty high too. You can go surfing there." "What? You bought a beach? When did you buy it? Why didn't you tell us?" Del and Risfar's reactions were intense. "Are you selling the house at Mirror Lake?" "Fuck off. Don't even think about Mirror Lake. I still want to live there." Chen Zhao cut off their thoughts. "Where did you buy the beach?" "It's in the direction of Sandro National Park. It's just across the road. I heard that there are a lot of sharks there." Risfar had just been attacked by a shark, so he was still traumatized. "After I move there, I'll chase the sharks away." "How?" Del asked. "Idiot, of course." Thinking of Amon's terrifying size, the two didn't have any more doubts. Amon was probably the largest creature in the ocean. No, he was the largest creature on Earth. To be honest, if Aman was here, they would feel an unparalleled safe haven. Just then Laura walked to the door. Chin, how's Johnny? He can talk and laugh. He should be fine. Stay here for dinner. I'll ask the kitchen to prepare dinner. Okay. Laura didn't just want to be the host. She was also worried about Risfar's injuries. As long as Qin Zhao was here, she would feel much more at ease. Soon, Fisher, Ronnie, and Vera came too. Because the three girls were sent to Mirror Lake by bodyguards every few days, Jerlin was very familiar with them. The four little girls could be said to be the four heavenly kings. Whether it was at Mirror Lake or this manor, they were simply lawless. The only non-human creature in the manor, Laugher, was already tormented by the four girls. Feilai and Ronnie sat in the yard and chatted. Ronnie taught Feilai many things from her experience. Of course, she mainly talked about things that pregnant women needed to pay attention to. As for food, Ronnie didn't talk at all. With Chen Zhao by her side, she didn't need to tell them what they could and couldn't eat. Ronnie was even planning to have a second child, so she asked Chen Zhao what to eat. Chen Zhao even arranged a recipe for Ronnie. What to eat in the first month, what to eat in the second month, all the way to the 9th month. For example, when to have intercourse, and what to eat to increase the chances of getting pregnant. Chen Zhao was Ronnie and Risfar's most trusted person, so they were busy making babies too. Qin Zhao, Risfar, and Del chatted in the room. Qin, do you plan to marry Feilai? Of course. Why do you ask? Chapter 1130. Del and I opened a hotel together. It's going to open next month. You, Feilai, and Jerlin can come to the opening ceremony. Chen Zhao didn't reject. Chen, I heard that China has feng shui, right? Del looked at Chen Zhao, his eyes sparkling. Before he finished, Chen Zhao could guess what he was planning. I don't know feng shui, but I can introduce you to someone, Chen Zhao said. Chen Zhao thought of Li Qing. Li Qing looked like a typical Chinese woman. She wasn't very educated, but she was hardworking and honest. But Chen Zhao knew Li Qing's real identity. She was a warlock. Li Qing knew feng shui and physiognomy. Oh, why do you suddenly want to know feng shui? Chen Zhao was confused. Our hotel was a bankrupt hotel, and we bought it at a low price. Apparently, before that, someone committed suicide in the hotel. At the same time, there were supernatural incidents. Then we found a priest, and after the priest walked around the hotel, he said that the location of the hotel was very strange, and it was best to find a Chinese feng shui master to take a look. You're the only Chinese we know, so we thought of you, Del explained. How about this? When you're free, I'll bring the feng shui master I know to your hotel, but I can't guarantee that she'll be able to help you. When will you be free in the near future? I have a lot of time. My friend can spare some time too, Qin Zhao said. It depends on you too. Risfar can't get out of bed for now. Del, you can take us there. I can go anytime too, Del answered casually. I said at night. At night? Didn't you say that supernatural incidents happened in the hotel? How can you see them in the day? It's more likely to happen at night. You're crazy. There's no one in the hotel right now. Won't you be scared to death if you go to such a big hotel at night? It's not like you're alone. I have my friend with you. Can I not go? If you're scared, you can stay at the door. I'll go in with my friend. Chen Zhao didn't force Del to go in. He just needed him to lead the way. That was all. Oh, why do you want to open a hotel? Chen Zhao asked curiously. Mainly because Del wants to do something. Risfar said, that's why he's interested in that hotel. However, he doesn't have enough cash on hand, so he dragged me along. I saw that the hotel's facilities and location are pretty good. It doesn't require too much investment, and the price is rather low. It's a pretty good choice as an investment. Didn't you know that the hotel was in trouble before you bought it? I know, but I didn't pay too much attention to it. The price of that hotel was too low. When did you realize there was a problem? We wanted to ask the original hotel manager to come back and continue working for us, but the hotel manager refused to come back no matter what. He even said some strange things and told us to be careful. The two of us felt a little uncomfortable, so we went to find a priest. Where did you find that priest? He's an old priest. I was introduced to him by someone else. How about tomorrow night? So fast? Isn't it better to solve the problem earlier? I need to prepare, Dell said hesitantly. What do you need to prepare? Mentally prepare. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. The three chatted until Laura came in and called them for dinner. Risvar still couldn't sit at the table, so he could only watch Chen Zhao and Dell leave. During dinner, little Jerlin, Faith, Ronnie, and Vera played hard. When they got home, little Jerlin, Faith, Ronnie, and Vera had a life-and-death farewell. It was as if they would never see each other again. The four children cried their hearts out. Chin, why didn't you say anything? Are you tired? No, Johnny and Dell opened a hotel together. Their new hotel seems to have encountered a supernatural incident. I'm going to check it out tomorrow night. It's just a supernatural incident. Why are you so worried? To Fei Lai, a small supernatural incident was nothing to Chen Zhao. The problem this time might not be as simple as a supernatural incident. If it's just a few evil spirits, it can be easily solved. It might be related to feng shui. Oh? Feng shui? I've studied it. Fei Lai was instantly energized. She started explaining what she'd learned from the books. This kind of hotel is haunted because the front door is facing north. Black tortoise is water and the air is cold. The wind blows the cold air into the building and it gathers. After a while, it becomes a land of Een. Fei Lai continued. Chen, bring me tomorrow night. I might be able to give you some pointers and change the layout slightly. That way you can change the feng shui. Fei Lai, pregnant people can't go to that kind of place. You have to stay away from it. The cold air is quite harmful to people, especially pregnant women. Chen Zhao's words dispelled Fei Lai's thoughts. She was rather depressed. Chen Zhao didn't know feng shui, but he clearly didn't trust Fei Lai. Ever since Fei Lai got pregnant, she'd been learning Mandarin and feng shui. As long as she thought it was related to Chinese culture, she would learn it. Recently, she'd fallen in love with ink painting. She could already draw runes on a piece of flawless xian paper. She didn't have any teachers to guide her. She learned from videos on the internet and some books. It would be a miracle if she could learn anything. What made Chen Zhao speechless was that Fei Lai had collected all of her works. To put it nicely, each work was proof of her progress. If she became famous in the future, these paintings would be very valuable. Most of the time, Chen Zhao loved her. As long as Fei Lai liked it, he liked it too. But Chen Zhao really wanted to burn the works that insulted China's ink painting. Chen Zhao always felt that Fei Lai's ink painting had some kind of magic. It was a magic that people couldn't like. Chen Zhao had once tried to comfort himself by saying that those paintings were only the works of beginners. But after seeing Jerlin's decent works, Chen Zhao completely recognized the truth. Fei Lai really didn't have any artistic talent. Fei Lai's works only embodied 2/3 of the essence of ink painting. Moreover, Fei Lai was learning the most complicated category of ink painting, splash ink painting. Chapter 1131. The next day, Evely continued her training at Mirror Lake. Evely could clearly feel the cells in her body becoming active during the training. It was completely different from swimming in a pool. Even after swimming for 10,000 meters, her breathing was still very smooth. In the afternoon, after Evely left, Chen Zhao planned to go find Li Qing. Chin, if you encounter any problems with feng shui there, you can call me at any time. Chen Zhao could tell that Fei Lai really wanted to show off her feng shui knowledge. Chen Zhao wondered if he should create an opportunity for Fei Lai to do so. Of course, haunted hotels definitely wouldn't work. Even if the risk was small, Chen Zhao didn't want Fei Lai to come into contact with such an environment. After arriving at Ethan's hotel, Chen Zhao swaggered in. Ethan happened to be carrying a plate of freshly filled burgers. Seeing Chen Zhao, he took the plate and left. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes and took out a drink from the vending machine. Fuck, why do you have the key to the vending machine? Of course. Whatever you have, the key is in the counter. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes and took a burger from Ethan's plate. Did you know that I'd make a burger at this time? I'm not here for you today, Chen Zhao said. Who else are you here for? Do you have friends staying here? Auntie Li. Just then, Li Qing walked out. You're here for Li? Mr. Chen, please wait a moment. I need to finish my business, Li Qing said. It's early anyway. No rush, Chen Zhao said. Take your time. Chen, why are you here for Li? None of your business. Chen Zhao glanced at Ethan. You ate my food and stole my employee. Am I not allowed to ask? Chen Zhao slapped a check on Ethan's table. Can I do it now? Ethan picked up the check. It was $400,000. I won't ask. Ethan smiled brightly. Ethan had a great time working with Chen Zhao. Logically speaking, Chen Zhao could have canceled the collaboration long ago or just reduced the commission. But Chen Zhao had never done that. He didn't even have the intention. He felt that it was Ethan who had helped him in his most difficult time. In the beginning, Ethan had only chosen her for his own benefit. But no matter what, Ethan did help him. When he first arrived in Los Angeles, he had no friends. He didn't even know what he should do. Ethan was also introducing the best clients to him. Emotions are strange things. You don't know when it happens. But by the time you realize it, it already exists naturally. Ethan would always share some information with him. After a while, Li Qing came out. Ethan was stunned when he saw Li Qing's attire. At this moment, Li Qing was dressed like a Taoist nun with a yellow crown on her head. Li Qing had worn the same outfit during the previous New Year. Then she set up an incense table in front of the door and danced there. A Taoist nun is also called a nun. In ancient times, women did not have crowns. Only female Taoists would have crowns, which was why they were called female crowns. Li, why are you wearing this today? Mr. Chen asked me to take care of something, so I'm wearing this. Can't normal clothes do? Or is there some magic in these clothes? I believe in Taoism. If I use Taoist spells, I have to wear traditional clothes to respect my teachings. You can also understand the reason why priests wear monk robes. Li Qing's Taoist robe didn't have any enchantments. It was just because she paid more attention to tradition. If she didn't use Taoist spells in a sudden situation, Li Qing would wear the Taoist robe and appear as a Taoist nun. Oh, what time will you be back tonight? I don't know. After saying goodbye to Ethan, Li Qing got into Chen Zhao's car. Mr. Chen, you seem to have completed ultimate transformation. Li Qing glanced at Chen Zhao. Her cultivation wasn't as high as Chen Zhao's, but Chen Zhao didn't have great control over his cultivation. Taoists also had the ability to see through people. Even if he faced someone with higher cultivation than him, he could still see through them if he didn't know how to hide it. Is it that obvious? Mr. Chen, there's a technique in Qingyi sect. You can take a look when you're free. Thank you, Auntie Li. Mr. Chen, in Taoism, ultimate transformation is the peak. Qingyi sect's techniques can only reach this level, but it's said that there's a Shang-Qing state. What's Shang-Qing state? Shang-Qing is heaven and earth, while Shang-Qing is emptiness. That's why it's also called emptiness of heaven and earth. This is recorded in some Taoist books, but I'm afraid I can't answer more than that. In ancient times, famous Taoists cultivated to ultimate transformation was already the peak. One would appear every few hundred years, but emptiness of heaven and earth was only recorded in books. No one had ever reached emptiness of heaven and earth. Chen Zhao had no idea. It seemed that he had to ask Old Turtle later. Perhaps Old Turtle could point out the path for his current level and his future. Many of the spells of the Qingyi sect were created by the founder of the Qingyi sect, Shangliu Qingyi. Shangliu Qingyi was an ultimate transformation expert, so these spells can only be used by ultimate transformation experts. Mr. Chen, why don't you study Qingyi's records? Chen Zhao nodded. Qingyi sect's books had indeed helped him a lot when he was growing up. Mr. Chen, where are we going now? Beverly Hills. My friend's house is there. He's taking us to his hotel personally, Chen Zhao said. I really don't understand. Why does he have to lead the way himself? He's so scared. There's a custom in the West, Li Qing said. If outsiders enter a new shop, the owner has to accompany them. When they arrived at Dell's house, Chen Zhao called him. A while later, Dell came out. Dell glanced at Chen Zhao and Li Qing from the car window. Chen, the lady you mentioned is the helper? You better be polite to her. She's an Eastern magician. Be careful, she might curse you. Dell immediately gave in. Miss, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I can't fit in this car. I'll get a bigger one here. Chapter 1132. Chen Zhao and Li Qing arrived at the entrance of the hotel. When they saw the hotel, they couldn't help but gasp. So big. They both thought the same thing. The hotel was an arc-shaped building. It was estimated to be 50 stories high and 400 to 500 meters long. The scale of this hotel was very large, and there was a large green belt. Dell, how much did you and Risvar pay for this hotel? $230 million. Worth it, Chen Zhao said. The building before them probably cost more than $300 million. I don't understand the building's entrance. It faces the south, which is fire. Fire brings wealth. There are also palms blocking the door, so it's hard for customers to find the entrance, Li Qing said. Also, the building is curved and close to the coast. When the sea wind blows, it blocks the entire city's water flow and sends the water back into the sea. It's called bringing wealth to the door. Is the water flow good or bad? In feng shui, there is a saying of the 4 symbols and 8 trigrams. Every kind of weather attribute has its good and bad. This building coincides with the pattern of the 100 acupoints Diaozong. The so-called 100 acupoints Diaozong is like this building, with 100 eyes and 100 acupoints. Each window is 100 acupoints, but there is no finishing touch. Therefore, the flow of water takes away the fortune. If you can leave an acupoint eye, you can form the finishing touch. The water will turn into a dragon, and the 100 acupoints will return to 1. Qin, what are you talking about? I don't understand. You don't understand? Chen Zhao said. Looking at Li Qing, Chen Zhao said, Auntie Li, I heard that this place is haunted. That's normal. The wind comes and goes, so the owner of this place will have great ups and downs. It's not an auspicious sign. Humans have 7 orifices, so they have to face the ups and downs of life. The 100 acupuncture points are a place with many things. Luck comes but doesn't gather, but misfortune gathers but doesn't disperse. Now that everyone is gone, the building is weak and Een is born. If it's left here for another year or so, this place will probably become a ghost town. Just then, a gust of Een Qi rushed toward the car. Crack! The car window was covered in dense cracks, and they appeared in an instant. Frightened, Dell hurriedly escaped from the car. Chen Zhao and Li Qing also got off the car. Dell was scared out of his wits. Chen, let's not exorcise evil spirits anymore. Let's go. It's scary here. Li Qing raised his head to look at the sky. The bright moon hung high in the sky. Tonight's moon is too bright. The strength of the evil spirits entrenched in this place has also increased greatly. Sister Qing, are you confident? If it's just an evil spirit, there's nothing to be afraid of. Li Qing said, but looking at the Een Qi, I'm afraid someone is doing something evil here. Sister Qing, are you saying that someone is purposely raising ghosts here? That's possible. Li Qing nodded. Mr. Chen, I'll go in and investigate first. You stay here for now. But if you need anything, call me immediately, Chen Zhao said. Just as Li Qing was about to step into the hotel, a gust of cold wind blew towards him. The car behind him seemed to be attacked by some invisible force, and the cracked glass window instantly shattered. Chen, is this lady going in just like that? Are you sure it's okay? Dell's teeth were chattering. Dell had seen many horror movies, and in them, the same scene often appeared. It's okay. She's a professional. Chen Zhao and Dell watched as Li Qing disappeared into the hotel. Li Qing entered the hotel alone. However, the hotel was simply too big. It was a super hotel. Just the guest rooms alone numbered more than 2,000. There was also no electricity, so the elevator couldn't be used. Li Qing had to check each floor. Li Qing took out a stack of paper dolls and held them between her fingers. She exhaled on them and waved them lightly. The paper dolls turned into another Li Qing. This spell was called Qi Restoration. The Li Qing that the paper dolls turned into were all Li Qing's breath of air. There could be an unlimited number of them, as long as Li Qing had enough air. However, they couldn't fight at all. Li Qing waited where she was. The clones spread out in all directions. Furthermore, These clones were extremely light. They were able to do things that Li Qing could not do on her own. Because they weren't real, they were just pieces of paper that had a breath of air, so they were very light. At the same time, Dell and Chen Zhao, who were standing outside the hotel, saw countless figures floating up the outer wall of the hotel. Dell exclaimed. What are those? Chen Zhao's eyes were better, so he could see more clearly. They seemed to be Li Qing, but judging from the number, Chen Zhao guessed that Li Qing had used some kind of cloning spell. Dell had never seen such silence before. He immediately took out his phone to take pictures. Li Qing suddenly felt that one of the clones had been destroyed. At the same time, she sensed where it had been destroyed. This wasn't Li Qing's home ground, but she used this spell to turn the entire hotel into her home ground. Everything was under her control. Those clones were her eyes and her senses. No matter what monsters were hiding here, they couldn't escape her eyes. Taoist had the heavenly eye spell. Li Qing's spell couldn't see everything in the world, but the building could. Li Qing found the floor where the incident had taken place and saw a malicious spirit attacking her doppelganger. The ghost couldn't tell if it was the real one or the clone. When it saw Li Qing's real body, it thought that it would be defeated like the previous clones, so it attacked Li Qing without saying anything. Li Qing pointed with 2 fingers at the malicious ghost's forehead. Master, save me. Qin, do you think that lady is really okay? Dell asked, feeling uneasy. She's fine, Qin Zhao said calmly. She's strong. Just then, Dell suddenly saw a woman in white standing under a streetlight in the distance. But the streetlight kept flashing, alternating between light and darkness. Qin. That woman. Chen Zhao also saw the woman in white. He frowned. The woman had an ominous aura. The woman in white walked towards them barefoot. Every streetlight she passed, the one above her would flash. Chen. When the woman was less than 10 meters away from Chen Zhao and Dell, she suddenly stopped. Suddenly, the streetlights on both sides fell down without warning, pressing down on Chen Zhao and Dell. Chen Zhao was shocked. He hurriedly pressed Dell to the ground. What kind of spell did the woman use? A spell that could control metal? Just then, the parked car suddenly flew into the air. Chapter 1133. Chen Zhao pulled Dell away. Looking down, he saw that Dell was wet. The woman in white looked at Chen Zhao in surprise. Because Chen Zhao wasn't afraid at all. Just then, the fallen lamppost suddenly twisted and swept toward Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao pulled Dell away again. The woman in white also frowned. Because Chen Zhao dodged her attacks again and again. Dell, move away. Chen Zhao pushed Dell away. Chen Zhao was ready to kill. But just then, a voice rang out. Stop, wait. Don't do anything. Rupert ran out from the darkness. Stop, don't do anything. Rupert, perfect timing, the woman said. Help me go in and take a look. The little ghost I'm raising is being attacked. Rupert looked at Chen Zhao with a troubled expression. Chen, it's a misunderstanding. Rupert, do you know him? Fei Sha was surprised. Fei Sha, if you attack again, he'll kill you? Fei Sha sneered, her face full of disdain. In her eyes, Chen Zhao was at most a wizard. In the past, wizards had always existed as servants of witches. Dell was still in shock. He didn't understand the situation. But it seemed that Chen Zhao knew the girl who'd suddenly appeared, and the girl knew the woman in white. Rupert, go away, Chen Zhao snorted coldly. Qin, it's a misunderstanding. She wants to kill me and my friend. It's not a misunderstanding anymore, Chen Zhao said. Rupert, you don't have to do anything here. If you don't want to help me, then go away. Fei Sha was also determined. But Rupert still blocked the two. Qin, I apologize on behalf of Fei Sha. No need to apologize, Chen Zhao said calmly. I just want to kill her now. If you can kill me, then come at me. Suddenly, Dell's car crashed toward Chen Zhao without any warning. Chen, watch out. Dell exclaimed. Chen Zhao was about to be hit by the car, but he blocked it with one hand. Fei Sha's pupils contracted. But the next moment, Chen Zhao suddenly closed in on her. So fast. Fei Sha watched as Chen Zhao approached, but she didn't even have time to react. Suddenly, A wall of light appeared in front of Fei Sha. Chen Zhao's fist smashed into the light wall and it shattered instantly. But in that split second, an old witch appeared behind Fei Sha and grabbed her by the back of her collar. Then she disappeared. Chen Zhao looked around in confusion. Escaped? Rupert, stop right there. Chen Zhao turned to look at Rupert, who was planning to escape. Rupert turned her head awkwardly to look at Chen Zhao. She forced out a smile. Hi, Chen, long time no see. That woman just now, and the old witch who appeared later, who are they? Where did they go? I don't know them well. Rupert shrugged and spread her hands. Chen Zhao narrowed his eyes at Rupert. Don't think that I won't do anything to you just because I know Sienna. I might not kill you, but I'll make you want to die even more. Chen, even if I tell you where they are, you can't do anything to them, Rupert said. They're witches from the British Witch Club, especially Lady Cybora who appeared later. She's the top witch in Britain and the only witch in the world who can transmit magic. No one can catch her. At this moment, Li Qing walked out from inside. When she saw the mess outside, she couldn't help but be stunned. Mr. Chen, what happened here? Is it all cleaned up? Yes, they've all been cleaned up. Someone has kept more than 10 malicious ghosts inside. Chen Zhao turned to Rupert. Tell me what happened. Actually, Fei Sha didn't mean any harm, Rupert said. She just saw that this place was empty and suitable for raising ghosts, so she raised some evil spirits. Where are they now? Chen, I really can't tell you. You can't, right? I'll make you tell me. Chen Zhao picked up Rupert and said to Del, we're done here. We'll go now. Chen, what happened just now was real, right? Del asked after Chen Zhao. If you think it's real, then it's real. If you think it's fake, then it's fake. Don't play dumb with me. I need you to answer my question directly. You saw it. Why do you still ask? Chen, you're a wizard too, right? And this lady too? And this little girl? Who are you calling little girl? Do you think I won't curse you? Rupert glared at Del. Chen, don't hit my head. Del, you don't have to get involved. She won't curse you either. Go home. How do you want me to go home? Don't you have bodyguards? Have them drive a car over. What about you? It's none of your business. Don't. Let me follow you. Del was very interested. Do you want to see me torture a little girl, break her limbs, dig out her eyes, and soak her in acid? Chen, you definitely won't do that to me. I'm only 10. Chen Zhao wouldn't really do anything to Rupert. He took out his phone and called Sienna. Sienna, Rupert's beside me now. You want to call Sienna? Don't call her. No, I don't want to see her. Chen Zhao didn't care. He just waited where he was. 20 minutes later, Sienna arrived. When she saw the person beside Chen Zhao, she was stunned. Chen, did Rupert cause trouble? I was attacked by a witch from the United Kingdom, but she was rescued by another witch called Cybora. Sienna looked at Rupert. Rupert, Miss Cybora is already in LA? Humph. Rupert turned her head, ignoring Sienna. I don't want to talk to you. Sienna, are you in trouble? Chen Zhao asked. Nothing. Sienna smiled. Rupert, let's go. I don't want to go with you. Sienna looked at Chen Zhao helplessly. Chen, since Rupert doesn't want to go with me, help me watch her. Don't let her escape again. Last time, Rupert stayed at Chen Zhao's house for 2 days and then left without a word. Sienna, I can't watch her. Unless Chen Zhao locked Rupert up, he couldn't watch her at all. He couldn't stay by Rupert's side all the time either. Chapter 1134. Sienna wasn't angry at Rupert. She really wanted to lock Rupert up. However, she couldn't do it herself. So, she decided to let Chen Zhao take her place as the bad guy. With that, Sienna got into the car. Just then, Chris poked her head out. Chen, we're leaving. Goodbye. Mr. Chen, I'm leaving too. Auntie Li, wait. Del's car will be here soon. No need. Running at night is good for your body, Li Qing said. Come here. I want to talk to you. Chen Zhao glanced at Rupert. Stand here. If you run, I'll break your legs. With that, Chen Zhao and Li Qing went to a corner. Auntie Li, what do you want to talk about? That girl seems to be a meat cauldron. What's a meat cauldron? It's also called a cauldron in our country. Li Qing glanced at Rupert in the distance. I don't understand, Chen Zhao said, confused. When you encounter some powerful monsters or demons, you use magic to separate the demon's body and soul and seal them into newborns. You mean there's a part of a demon sealed in Rupert's body? Chen Zhao asked, surprised. Maybe, but I don't know if it's true. I just feel like there's something in her body. Also, the Sibylla you just mentioned. 20 years ago, she was part of the British Witch delegation and came to our country for an exchange. That's why I've seen her before. She seemed to be here to exchange spells, but she was actually here to seek help from some sects in our country. She wanted to see how our country handles powerful demons. So did she find it? Sort of. It's this meat cauldron spell. Li Qing glanced at Rupert again. Auntie Li, have you seen this girl before? We met more than 20 years ago at that exchange meeting. She must have slept for more than 20 years. Auntie Li, do you need me to help her? Chen Zhao asked. Chen Zhao felt that Li Qing was looking at Rupert differently. She has an excellent spiritual mirror constitution. She's perfect for cultivating Qingyi sect spells. But she's a foreigner. Now, I'm the only one left in the Green Robes sect. You're considered half a member. If we continue to remain stubborn, I'm afraid that the Green Robes sect won't be far from extinction. Furthermore, with the exchange between the spiritual world and the outside world, some ancient sects have already begun to open branches in various countries or directly recruit foreign disciples. If the Green Robes sect doesn't keep up with the times, we'll be eliminated by the times sooner or later. Chen Zhao didn't expect Li Qing's idea to be so modern. Okay, I'll think of something, Chen Zhao said. Li Qing had helped him a lot and they had a good relationship. Moreover, Li Qing had taught Chen Zhao before, so he was willing to help her. This is my suggestion for your friend's hotel. Li Qing took out a piece of paper and handed it to Chen Zhao. I'll be leaving now. Sister Qing, be careful on the road. Yes. Li Qing took 2 steps and stopped. She turned back and said, if the thing in the girl's body wants to come out, extract it directly. Don't wait for it to grow stronger. The girl can't take it anymore and it will harm her life. Okay, got it, Chen Zhao answered. This time, Li Qing really left. Chen Zhao returned to Rupert and Dell. What's sealed in your body? Chen Zhao asked directly. He didn't beat around the bush. Rupert looked up at Chen Zhao. You know? Tell me directly. I think I have a way to help you. You can't. 1/3 of a big demon's soul is sealed in my body. This demon can't be destroyed. Chen Zhao rubbed his forehead. To him, the biggest problem wasn't how to destroy the demon's soul, but how to pull it out of Rupert's body without harming Rupert. Chen, can you give me the contact information of that lady from China? Dell asked. What do you want? Chen Zhao looked at Dell suspiciously. From Dell's past misdeeds, it was hard for Chen Zhao not to be suspicious of his intentions. I want to hire her to be my hotel's security consultant. She won't agree, Chen Zhao said. Li Qing was too sentimental. She was also the kind of person who would repay favors with a spring. Ethan had taken her in, so she wouldn't go anywhere now. She was only willing to stay in the hotel and help Ethan. What if we encounter similar things in the future? You're so stupid. Since you're so close to Chen, why don't you go to him directly? He's the strongest spiritualist in LA. There's nothing he can't solve. Dell looked at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao immediately said, Don't come to me for this kind of small trouble. Sienna takes this kind of thing. I'll give you her contact information, but it depends on her time. She's the security consultant for the power company now, so if you encounter similar things, you can only wait until she's free. Chen, I think the China lady is more reliable. This is Sister Qing's suggestion for your hotel. As long as you follow her suggestion, this kind of thing will basically not happen in your hotel anymore. But don't you China people have a saying? It's better to be safe than sorry. You're so troublesome, Chen Zhao said in annoyance. Actually, if Dell encountered something supernatural, he could just call Chen Zhao and Chen Zhao would definitely come to help. Just give me Ms. Li's number. I told you that she won't be your security consultants. Chen Zhao shook his head. Li Qing was different from Sienna. Giving Sienna's number to Dell was to introduce Sienna to a client. But Li Qing wasn't in this line of work. If Qin Zhao hadn't asked for her help, she wouldn't have come. Qin, why are you like this? I told you to call this number if you're in trouble. Ms. Sienna is also a professional spiritualist. But I want to find the China lady. What exactly do you want? Dell's face reddened. After a while, he said, I want her to be my teacher. What? Chen Zhao's eyes widened. Are you crazy? No, I'm serious. Dell looked at Qin Zhao seriously. After taking a photo with his phone, he could tell that the figures were all Li Qing. In his eyes, Li Qing was definitely a godlike person. He even felt that Qin Zhao was Li Qing's junior. That was why he wanted to be her disciple. Do you know what it means to be a China disciple? What does it mean? There's a saying in China that a teacher for a day is a father for life. Ms. Li's children are all dead, so you have to be filial to her like a son. You even have to take care of her when she dies. Chapter 1135. Are you serious? How am I not serious? Chen Zhao looked at Dell seriously. He really wanted to tell Dell that he wasn't serious from head to toe. It's not easy to get Auntie Qing's approval. If you don't have the talent, you won't be accepted. Don't you Chinese say that hard work makes up for a lack of talent? You don't have talent. Cultivating magic isn't like other skills. Most people in the world can't cultivate. It's useless no matter how hard you work. Rupert was good at adding insult to injury. Qin, do you think I have talent? I don't think so. I'll ask Auntie Qing later. Just then, Dell's bodyguard drove over. Okay, let's go. Qin, I still have something to say. If you keep nagging, I'll ask Auntie Qing to reject you. Okay, I'm going. Dell was unwilling, but he still got in the car obediently. Let's go. Chen Zhao glanced at Rupert. Where are we going? Yeah? Rupert was even more unwilling, and it was completely shown on her face. Moreover, she always did whatever she wanted because she was a kid. She would only restrain herself a little in front of Qin Zhao. She knew that if Qin Zhao wanted to punish her, he wouldn't care if she was a kid or not. Come, get on my back. You want to carry me? Rupert couldn't believe it. Qin Zhao was so generous. Her impression of Qin Zhao was that he was a violent person. As long as it wasn't his friend, he would treat them in a violent way. But she clearly wasn't his friend. Rupert climbed onto Qin Zhao's back unwillingly. Hold on tight. Hold on tight. Hold on tight? Yes. Suddenly, Qin Zhao sped up. Rupert felt the strong wind slap her face. When she opened her mouth, the wind poured into her mouth. Right now, Rupert only wanted to escape from Qin Zhao's back. But Qin Zhao's hands were firmly gripping her legs. She couldn't break free at all. The night wind whipped Rupert's face hard. Rupert had never felt so real or so fast. She couldn't even open her eyelids, and the skin on her face was completely deformed. If you were sitting in a car traveling at 150 kilometers per hour and stuck your head out of the window facing the wind, you wouldn't be able to speak. Moreover, Qin Zhao was moving at full speed. The huge wind pressure at 500 kilometers per hour was enough to make Rupert want to die. Rupert could only hide behind Qin Zhao. She watched as the streetlights on the road moved backward. This feeling lasted for 10 minutes before it stopped. Qin Zhao put Rupert on the ground. Rupert looked at the building before her. She didn't understand where she was. At this moment, the guard inside opened the iron gate. Guild leader, why are you here? I have something to do. Go rest first, Qin Zhao said. Qin Zhao brought Rupert into the headquarters. At this moment, West ran over. Guild leader, why are you here? Prepare a room for her and have someone keep an eye on her. If she dares to run away, you can take any form of attack. West glanced at Rupert. He didn't understand how a little girl like her had offended Qin Zhao. But then he thought about Risa. She was only in her teens, but after offending Qin Zhao, she was still punished. So West wasn't that surprised. Just then Agars walked out. When Rupert saw Agars, she was immediately shocked. What's this? Qin Zhao glanced at Rupert and then said to Agars, have her stay in the same room as Agars. What? Have me stay with her? This monster won't eat people, right? Slap. Chen Zhao slapped Rupert's head. Have some respect. Agars, keep an eye on her. If she wants to run, you can shoot her with your bow. Of course, I don't want her to die if possible, so you just have to tear her tendons with your sharp claws. Rupert rubbed her head, depressed. She didn't understand what Chen Zhao and Agars were talking about, but she believed that it wouldn't be anything good. For example, this girl is very naughty. Teach her a lesson for me. Patya brought Rupert into a room. Little girl, you'll be living here from now on. Little girl? I'm older than you. I just stopped growing for 20 years because of special reasons. You have to call me sister, okay? Oh, there are some things you need to pay attention to. For example, don't disobey the president's orders, don't get into conflict with him, and don't question his decisions. President? You mean Chen? Patya heard Rupert call Chen Zhao by his surname. In her impression, only Gaia called Chen Zhao like that. You know the president long ago? Of course. He loves me a lot. Then what did you do to make the president put you in the same room as Agars? Agars? That leopard-headed monster? Yes, that's one of Solomon's 72 demon god pillars. Don't joke. It's just a legend. Rupert was halfway through her laugh when she saw Patya's serious gaze. That Agars is really one of Solomon's 72 demon god pillars? Yes, Patya said. The president found him a few days ago and summoned him. This monster might turn on you, Rupert said. No way. Agars is cold, but he's easy to get along with, Patya said. Plus, as long as the president is here, no threat is a threat. One day, he'll also encounter an enemy he can't deal with. No one can be strong forever. Maybe you should go to the basement and see a powerful enemy the president killed. You'll definitely be shocked. I'm a spiritualist too. I've seen Chen fight with powerful monsters. He's indeed powerful, but not enough to scare me. Just then Agars walked in. The room was specially prepared for Agars. The door was also specially raised. But when Agars entered the room, he still had to lower his head. After entering the room, Agars glanced at Rupert and then said to Patya, "Sleep?" "Okay, Rupert. I'm leaving. See you tomorrow." Agars' bed was specially made. It was huge. Rupert looked at Agars. "Hey, you're Agars, right?" Agars glanced at Rupert and then laid down on the bed. Chapter 1136. Rupert and Agars slept on the same bed. Rupert felt warmth, something she had never felt before. When she woke up in the morning, Rupert realized that she'd slept the whole night with Agars in her arms. Agars had short fur all over his body, just like a wild beast. But to Rupert, Agars was more like a furry toy. After washing up, Rupert followed Agars to the dining room. She realized that half of the dining room was filled with evil spirits. Even the ones who served her food were evil spirits. Many evil spirits here were disaster level. Rupert was a witch herself, and she wasn't weak either. But living under the same roof with so many evil spirits was too uncomfortable for her. But everyone here was very natural. Even the old man guarding the door chatted with the evil spirits nonchalantly. Just then, a woman dressed in a Gothic style walked into the dining room. Rupert's first impression was that this woman wasn't easy to deal with. She emanated a very obvious aura of death. Usually, those with the aura of death were either people who were about to die or people who worked with the dead. Even the evil spirits made way for Helith when she arrived. Even evil spirits didn't want to come into contact with her. If they were touched by her aura of death, it would be very scary for evil spirits. They wouldn't dare to go out for a few days because they might encounter bad luck. "You're weak. She's strong." Agars glanced at Rupert and knew what she was thinking. But her English limited her way of expressing herself. Rupert looked away. Chen Zhao had entered the river map long ago. "Old Turtle, do you know the Shangqing region? Or should I say the world is clear?" "Yes," Old Turtle answered. Old Turtle sat by the river and held a fishing rod. But there were no fish in the river. Apart from Old Turtle and Chen Zhao, there were no other creatures in the entire river map. What are the requirements for the Shangqing region? Or how to enter it? Comprehend the world and empty your mind. How? Just sit here cross-legged for a few thousand years. That long? A few thousand years in the river diagram was only a few years in the outside world. The river diagram is boundless. There is no real heaven and earth. The ground beneath our feet is just a huge rock, and the sky above our heads is a void. So, you can only accumulate your comprehension here and use enough time to facilitate it. One day, when an idea flashes in your mind, you will succeed. Is there no other faster way? Chen Zhao didn't think he had that much time. He felt like he would go crazy if he had to sit here for a few thousand years. Yes, go and feel the real world for yourself. Old Turtle said, with your current technology, you can comprehend the world more easily than the ancients. It can't be that I have to go to the heavens to comprehend the heavens and the earth to comprehend the earth, right? That's right. Isn't it simple? Is there a method that is both simple and fantastical? The last time you were at the extreme transformation, you created the mysterious ice domain and the heavenly fire domain, which are very suitable for this kind of cultivation style. Old Turtle shook his head. How about I throw you into the sky? Never mind. Chen Zhao was afraid that if Old Turtle threw him into the sky, he might fall for a few months. How many fish have you caught? Are you stupid? Are there fish here? Old Turtle rolled his eyes. Since you know there are no fish here, why are you still fishing? Are you going to learn from Jiangxia? Learn from him? He should learn from me. I'm old enough to be his ancestor, Old Turtle said proudly. Then what are you doing instead of fishing? I've been sitting here for more than a decade. I'm training my mind. Chen Zhao looked at Old Turtle, who still didn't move. After a while, Chen Zhao left the river diagram in boredom. In the morning, Evely came to train again. Evely's complaint was that Chen Zhao's training time was too short. Even though one morning of training might be more effective than a month of training for her, Evely still felt that time was too short. Or rather, she was reluctant to leave Mirror Lake. She envied Chen Zhao for being able to find such a good place to stay. In the afternoon, Chen Zhao went to the headquarters of the association. Klaus, come here for a second. President, what's up? How high can our helicopter fly? President, are you talking about the highest altitude? That's right. About 6,500 meters. Fill up the helicopter and send me up. Oh, President, where are we going? Nowhere, Chen Zhao said. Just flying up. Klaus was confused, but he still carried out Chen Zhao's mission. President, we're already at 6,000 meters. If we climb any higher, the airflow will cause the helicopter to lose control. Do we still want to go up? Helicopters relied on the difference in air pressure to climb, but the higher the altitude, the lower the air pressure. It was more difficult for the helicopter to climb. Usually, civilian helicopters could barely reach 4,000 meters. Military helicopters were mostly below 7,000 meters. Chen Zhao felt the airflow and temperature outside the helicopter. Maintain this altitude, Chen Zhao said. Chen Zhao sat in the back seat and started meditating. However, he didn't feel anything. The air here was already thin and so was the spiritual qi. Chen Zhao found it hard to cultivate. Cultivating here for 100 years might not be as good as cultivating in Mirror Lake for a year. Was it because the altitude here wasn't high enough? Or did he need to jump outside to feel the sky? Klaus, fly the helicopter to the wound in the lake. Klaus obeyed Chen Zhao's order and moved the helicopter above the man-made lake. I'll go down first. You can land by yourself. With that, Chen Zhao jumped down. Head down, body vertical, Chen Zhao plummeted like a scallion. Chen Zhao closed his eyes. Instantly, he found the feeling. The air kept attacking every corner of Chen Zhao's body. It was like something was constantly stimulating Chen Zhao's body and mind. However, he couldn't grasp that thing. Enlightenment, enlightenment, enlightenment. Suddenly, Chen Zhao opened his eyes. Before he could savor that feeling, the huge impact had already arrived. Splash, Chen Zhao fell into the lake, creating a huge splash. After a while, he surfaced and swam to the shore. Klaus' helicopter landed too. Klaus knew that Chen Zhao had the ability to resist the impact of falling. However, it was still hard to imagine Chen Zhao jumping down from such a high place with his own eyes. Chapter 1137. Klaus was speechless inside. Wasn't it exciting enough to jump from that height? But he was really envious. He could jump from that height without using any cushioning equipment. Guild leader, propeller planes can generally fly more than 8,000 meters. Moreover, propeller planes are cheap, even cheaper than helicopters. The most expensive one might only cost $2 to $3 million, while the cheaper ones can be bought for hundreds of thousands of dollars. The thing Klaus was most satisfied with about the supernatural organization was that it had ample funding. In the past, he had a few hundred people in the counterterrorism department. In the end, their budget was only a few $100,000. After deducting their salaries, the remaining funds could be counted on one hand. If they wanted to modify a car, they had to beg for help from the finance department. In the end, when they received a few $100,000, they had to thank Qin Zhao shamelessly. But in the supernatural organization, there were less than 30 people. Qin Zhao was also very generous with tens of millions of dollars. It wasn't just in terms of their salaries. In terms of their funding, as long as their requests were reasonable. Especially if they wanted to modify their equipment or weapons. Without even thinking, Qin Zhao called them without any hesitation. Buying a plane for $1 or $2 million was almost impossible for the counterterrorism department in the past. When they needed to use a plane, they would rent it. But now they had to buy it without saying anything. Also, they had to rely on the Lightning Squad to buy a plane. After all, they knew planes the best. They were also the ones who used planes the most. Usually, if they went on a mission, they could fly a helicopter to show off. Qin Zhao thought about it. Are there any planes that can fly higher? Qin Zhao felt that the fall was too short. He needed more time to comprehend. But propeller planes needed airflow to ascend. They couldn't fly too high. If you want to fly at higher altitudes, you will need a jet. But for jets, the runway here could not meet the needs of takeoff and landing. President, if we modify it, I'm confident that I can make the propeller plane climb more than 10,000 meters. Not enough. Qin Zhao shook his head. Forget it. I'll think of something else. Qin Zhao didn't want to make things difficult for Klaus. The hardware wasn't good enough. Killing Klaus wouldn't solve the problem. President, how high do you want? The higher, the better. Guild leader, do you want to consider the hydrogen balloon? Qin Zhao slapped his forehead. If the only requirement was the height, the hydrogen balloon was undoubtedly the best choice. At least in terms of cost-effectiveness, the hydrogen balloon was the best choice. The main principle of the hydrogen balloon was that the mass of hydrogen was much lower than that of air. However, when an ordinary hydrogen balloon flew up to a kilometer, due to the gradual decrease in pressure, the volume of hydrogen gas would increase, and eventually, the outer sphere would explode. However, in the 1950s, it was already possible to rely on hydrogen balloons to ascend to an altitude of 30,000 meters. Now that more than 60 years had passed, there were no technical problems. Help me make a hydrogen balloon that can fly to an altitude of more than 30,000 meters. Ask West for how much money you need. Alright, but it will take some time. How long will it take? We need to buy an ordinary hydrogen balloon and then modify it. The estimated time is about 10 days. Alright, as soon as possible. Guild leader, if you go up into the sky, not only will you have to face gravity, but the low temperature, thin air, and strong ultraviolet rays will also be fatal. I know. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Qin Zhao thought of another problem. How should he deal with the underground? Oh, the crypt demon's relic was underground, but it didn't seem deep enough. He needed to find a chance to go to the relic and ask them if there was a deeper place. Thinking of the crypt demons, Qin Zhao thought of something else. Back then, he'd promised the crypt demons that he'd get them a wild boar monster. They seemed to call those boars Nissan. It seemed that he had to go to the desert outside of Las Vegas again. There was no time like the present. Let's go today. Las Vegas wasn't far, anyway. It was a city in Nevada, but it was less than 400 kilometers away from Los Angeles. Klaus, let's go to Las Vegas. Guild leader, which casino? Do we need to bring guns? You're thinking too much, Qin Zhao said. We're going to the desert in Las Vegas? Klaus was still a little disappointed. For every man, going to Las Vegas to gamble once was their lifelong dream. Of course, for someone like Qin Zhao who had no interest in gambling, Las Vegas wasn't attractive at all. If you want to go, we can go to Las Vegas next time. Guild leader, can I drive your car? Klaus was also very interested in sports cars. Usually, he was envious of Qin Zhao's Porsche 918. However, he was afraid of Qin Zhao's authority, so he didn't dare to ask to borrow the car. This time, he finally had the chance to drive Qin Zhao's luxury car properly. Sure, as long as you don't hit my car, drive as fast as you can. Guild leader, I promise to be in Las Vegas in 2 hours, Klaus said, rubbing his hands. Sure, let's go now. Qin Zhao was impatient and had a lot of things to do recently. If he missed today, who knew how long he would have to wait for the next time? Klaus' driving was much bolder and crazier than Qin Zhao's. After buying the car, Qin Zhao had driven it a few times. This was the first time he truly displayed the power of the Porsche 918. No wonder so many people liked the explosive power of sports cars. In order to enjoy the thrill, Klaus deliberately deviated from the main road and chose a more remote one. Guild leader, do you know Highway 666? Do you want to tell me about the Highway to Hell? You've heard of this legend? Not only have I heard of it, I've even entered the real Highway to Hell. Didn't I go to Las Vegas on New Year's Day? I took a bus back and then entered Highway to Hell. Is Highway to Hell scary? Not really. The twisted monsters on the second level of the Tower of Trials are the same as the ones on Highway to Hell. Klaus was speechless. Thinking about it, Qin Zhao seemed even scarier than the so-called Highway to Hell. He hadn't been to the second level, but he'd heard Hellies, Norma, and Gaia talk about it. He had a rough idea of how scary it was. But Qin Zhao didn't care about the twisted monsters at all. But it made sense. Qin Zhao could pass through the 6th level and increase the strength of the monsters on each level. Chapter 1138. One didn't have to be very powerful to see things. It depended on the level of people they'd met. He'd fought a few high-level enemies with Qin Zhao before, so Klaus's vision was also very high now. Klaus's lightning team's daily training was based on powerful enemies. 2.5 hours. It was half an hour slower than expected. Nevertheless, Qin Zhao was still very satisfied with Klaus' driving skills. Drop me off here, Qin Zhao said. You can go walk around Las Vegas by yourself. When I'm done, come pick me up here. President, do you need me to go with you? No, it's just a small matter. I just need to walk around. Qin Zhao got off the car on the road outside of Las Vegas. Las Vegas was built on a desert to begin with. Qin Zhao entered the desert and soon approached the Crypt Demon Relic area. A massacre had happened here, but it had been cleaned up long ago. There was only a no-entry sign with a sign of chemical contamination and a skull on it. Qin Zhao had just walked a few steps when he saw a desert four-wheeled motorcycle drive over, kicking up dust. On the motorcycle was a policewoman wearing a cowboy hat. The scorching sun here made her skin a bit red. The policewoman stopped the bike before Qin Zhao and took off her sunglasses. Why are you here? The policewoman looked Qin Zhao up and down. She saw that he was only wearing a t-shirt, sweatpants, and sneakers. It was really strange for him to appear here like that. Sightseeing. Is there a problem? Don't you see the sign over there? What sign? Qin Zhao pretended to be blind. There's chemical pollution here. Don't get close. Are you a tourist? I'm from LA, Qin Zhao said calmly. Even if you're sightseeing, your clothes are too simple. Usually, when people came to the desert to sightsee, they couldn't wear revealing clothes. Otherwise, the strong ultraviolet rays in the desert would cause sunburn. Also, their pants couldn't be too loose, or else the poisonous snakes and scorpions in the desert might crawl into their pants. However, Qin Zhao was dressed casually. In the policewoman's eyes, he wasn't here to sightsee. He was here to die. In Las Vegas, more than 10,000 people died from poisonous snakes and scorpions in the desert every year. There would also be hundreds of people missing, all due to incomplete equipment. The policewoman felt that Qin Zhao had come here for a walk. Let me see your driver's license. Qin Zhao handed his license to the policewoman. She called the headquarters and asked for his license number. University professor? The policewoman looked at him. Since you're a university professor, don't you know anything about precautions? Chen Zhao couldn't think of any excuse to get rid of the policewoman. Fine, Chen Zhao said, shrugging. I made a bet with my friend to stay in the desert for 6 hours. Hearing his explanation, the policewoman felt that he was telling the truth. Chen Zhao didn't look like a tourist at all. Moreover, tourists needed to go to the desert. Usually, they would have a special team, and they would not be brought to such a forbidden zone. Come up, I'll send you out, the policewoman said. Miss, can I stay here for a while? Chen Zhao asked. You know, with what you're wearing now, you'll be burnt to death before the sun sets in less than 6 hours, and you didn't even bring any waters. Aren't there some rock strata over there? I can hide from the sun there. I'll leave later. The policewoman shook her head. Leave now or I'll arrest you. You'll make me lose $100 like this? Don't make me warn you again. Fine, fine. Helpless, Chen Zhao sat on the policewoman's four-wheeled motorcycle and was sent to the city. Chen Zhao looked like he had nothing to live for. He found a bar and sat down to drink. It seemed that he could only wait until it was dark before going in. Chen Zhao had just ordered a glass of wine and was drinking at a table outside the bar when the policewoman came again. You still want to go into the desert? Officer, I'm just drinking. That's all. That area is very dangerous. Don't you know? People died there before. Sorry, I just want to drink in peace. Chen Zhao smiled at the policewoman. Maybe I should buy you a drink. The policewoman stared at him. I'll keep an eye on you. If you dare to step into the desert again, I'll arrest you. Miss Officer, did I break any laws? I have the right to arrest anyone I think is suspicious. Chen Zhao really found it annoying, but he only needed to go into the desert at night and get a Nissan. There was no need to talk to the policewoman now. Just then, the policewoman received a call and left in a hurry. Weenie, a fugitive escaped into the restricted area under your jurisdiction. Weena's expression was serious as she drove her car into the restricted area. Weenie knew what was inside. She also knew how dangerous it was. Especially at night, it would turn into a shuraba. Even she did not dare to linger in there. It was getting late. If she couldn't find the fugitive and bring him out before dark, she might only find his broken limbs tomorrow morning. Or maybe she wouldn't even be able to find his broken limbs. After entering the restricted area, Weena found footprints very quickly. From the clarity of the footprints, the fugitive hadn't left for long. Weenie followed the footprints to find the fugitive. Finally, Weenie arrived outside an abandoned camp. This place used to be a military encampment, and a tragic incident had occurred here before. The military had been attacked by something here at night. Almost everyone had died. The tents were very dilapidated. Many of them were already leaking air. Some even had bloodstains on them. Weena took out her gun and glanced at the sky. Weenie entered the tent carefully, her gun still in her hand. Suddenly, she heard a whistling sound behind her. Weenie also noticed the shadow on the ground and was about to turn around. The gun in her hand had already been knocked to the ground by a wooden stick. Weenie was about to pick up the gun when the person who had attacked her pushed her to the ground. From the information her colleagues had given her, Weenie already knew that the fugitive was a murderer. He was very dangerous. Weena fought back with all her might and kicked the fugitive's stomach. The fugitive took a few steps back. Then he grabbed Weena's hair and threw her to the ground. Chapter 1139. Weenie turned around and wanted to run, but a gunshot sounded. Weenie fell to the ground. Her thigh was shot through. Weenie already regretted coming here. She regretted coming here. Weenie turned around and watched the criminal approach her step by step. This is the perfect crime scene. After I'm done, I can bury you here and no one will ever find you. Weenie panted heavily and looked at the criminal. More accurately, she looked at the thing behind the criminal. The criminal saw the shadow under his feet. What was that? The fugitive turned around abruptly and saw a huge monster standing in front of him. But the monster had a tattered cloth on it. It was a crypt demon, but the sky wasn't completely dark yet. Crypt demons were very sensitive to light, so this one had a piece of cloth on it. But now, it looked more like a piece of clothing. What is that? The crypt demon bit the criminal's neck. Help, help, help me, the criminal cried weakly, but he couldn't do anything. Soon, the crypt demon bit off half of the criminal's neck. The crypt demon had a shocking bite force. It could easily bite through a person's body, let alone a neck. The crypt demon slowly walked up to Vinny and sniffed her body with its nose. Winnie froze. She could clearly see the criminal's blood on the crypt demon's head. Winnie carefully reached out and touched the crypt demon. The crypt demon's claw lightly scratched Winnie's cheek before it turned away. Luote was the name Winnie gave the crypt demon. On New Year's Eve, the night of the incident, Winnie was on duty nearby when she met the crypt demon. The crypt demon was heavily injured. Winnie didn't know what she was thinking. She saved the crypt demon and hid it in her house. When the crypt demon woke up the next day, it almost killed Winnie. But after noticing the bandages on her body, the crypt demon didn't hurt her anymore. Winnie gave the crypt demon the name Luote. It was her brother's name. However, when Winnie was very young, her brother passed away. Later on, Vinny also found out about the massacre in the desert on television. Then Vinny sent Roth back here. Luote sensed the setting sun and screamed at Vinny. Ing. Although Winnie did not understand what Luote was saying, she could understand him. Luote wanted Winnie to leave. Because darkness was coming, when that time came, his clansmen would be wandering nearby. If Winnie encountered them, she would not be able to escape death. Crypt demons were intelligent, and their intelligence was no less than that of humans. The only difference between them was the level of civilization. However, Vinny couldn't move at all. Her thigh was injured, and Winnie was still sitting on the ground. Lot seemed a little anxious. He came forward and sniffed Vinny's thigh. Although crypt demons couldn't see, they could sense other creatures' states through their sense of smell. Lot dragged Vinny into the tent and used his finger to cut a wound on his face. He then smeared his blood on Vinny's body. Luote, what are you doing? Ing. Are you trying to trick your friends with your smell? Vinny asked. Ing. Luote covered Vinny with a heavy cloth. At the same time, he dragged the escaped prisoner's body in. What happened next was more bloody. Luote tore the prisoner into pieces. Blood splattered everywhere. Luote even picked up Vinny's gun and tossed it to her. The sky was already starting to darken. Just then, footsteps came from outside. Luote and Vinny fell silent at the same time. Vinny was very nervous. If she encountered other crypt demons, her chances of survival were very low. It's been so long. Why is there such a heavy smell of blood here? Chen Zhao strolled in the abandoned camp. Hearing this voice, Vinny immediately thought of the Asian she'd met in the afternoon. That Asian man still managed to get in. He really didn't know what was good for him. He'd actually come to such a dangerous place. The desert at night was more dangerous than during the day. Especially in the Forbidden Zone, it would be even more dangerous to encounter crypt demons. Chen Zhao noticed that the tent beside him had a heavy smell of blood. He pulled open the cloth and saw that the ground was a mess. At the same time, there were two other figures in the tent. One was the policewoman he'd met in the afternoon. The other was a crypt demon. Vinny's face darkened. Why you here? Would you believe me if I said I'm here to play? Ing. Vinny saw that Luote was very hostile toward Chen Zhao. Like a beast pouncing on its prey, Luote leaned forward. Luote, don't hurt him. He's not a bad person, Vinny hurriedly said. She could ignore the escaped prisoner just now. That was because the escaped prisoner deserved to die. Thus, Vinny didn't have any sympathy. But to her, Chen Zhao didn't deserve to die. Is this your pet? Your pet is really special, Chen Zhao said, chuckling. Vinny froze. Was this guy blind? Couldn't he see that Luote was different? Was it because it was too dark here? Couldn't he see clearly? But Luote was almost 4 meters long. He could not know, right? Or was he pretending to be calm? Just then, a gust of wind blew in the desert. The smell of blood from the tent was also blown toward the cave in the ruins. Chen Zhao left the tent because he sensed that something had come out from the ruins. There were a lot of them too. The wind didn't just blow the escaped prisoner's blood over. It also blew Chen Zhao's scent over. A large number of crypt demons and Nissan species swarmed over. The crypt demons still remembered Qin Zhao, the instigator of all this. After all, Qin Zhao was the one who'd started an all-out conflict between the crypt demons and the military. Although the crypt demons had slaughtered almost everyone in the military camp, it didn't mean that they were unharmed. The crypt demons were also heavily injured. But Qin Zhao, the instigator, wasn't punished at all. The surrounding tents were all torn down. Vinny was also exposed. When she saw the densely packed crypt demons and wild boars, she was so scared that she lost her ability to think. Just then, Luo Te came to Vinny's side and protected her. Chapter 1140. Weenie curled up in a corner and looked at the countless monsters around her. "Hi, Your Majesty, we meet again." Chen Zhao looked at a petite figure among the crypt demons. Of course, the so-called petite was only relative to other crypt demons. For humans, a body that was more than 3 meters tall was still considered huge. The other crypt demons immediately stood in front of their queen. Weenie looked at Chen Zhao in confusion. Did this Asian know about the monsters? But was he scared out of his wits? He actually wanted to reason with these monsters? Most of the crypt demons Weenie had seen ate humans. Even Lot was the same. If not for their special experience, Lot would probably be like the other crypt demons. To her, these monsters couldn't communicate with humans at all. Chen Zhao shrugged helplessly. "I didn't come with enmity, so I think we can coexist peacefully. I just want 2 boar monsters." "Oh, the Nissan species." Chen Zhao didn't have any enmity, but the crypt demons' hostility didn't decrease. They seemed to want to attack Chen Zhao. "Your Majesty, you know that if I want to kill you, you won't be able to escape." Chen Zhao looked at the female crypt demon. Weenie didn't understand where this Asian got his confidence from. He was actually talking to these monsters in such a tone. From her point of view, Chen Zhao was seeking his own death. Chen Zhao looked at the surrounding boar monsters. If possible, Chen Zhao would just grab a wild boar monster and leave. But these boar monsters didn't have the ability to reproduce. To put it bluntly, they were naturally castrated. The Nissan species were very similar to the crypt demons. Or rather, they were like bees. They also had a female body and a group of males. The female body was used for reproduction. If the female died, a male would appear among the males and become the female body. Among the wild boar monsters, there were other Nissan breeds, such as the male breeds that bred with their mothers, the soldier breeds that protected the tribe, and the meat breeds that were provided to the crypt demons. The ones surrounding Qin Zhao now were the most common soldiers. They couldn't be used for reproduction. Only by obtaining the mother or a male seed would it work. To be precise, there were 2 of them. As long as there were 2 males, one of them would naturally transform and become a mother. Then, they would be able to reproduce into a race. Of course, the crypt demon definitely knew the exact process better than Qin Zhao. If Qin Zhao asked for the mother directly, they definitely wouldn't give it to him. However, if they wanted 2 male seeds, they would probably give it to him after considering the pros and cons. Of course, he also considered robbing them. But unless it was absolutely necessary, Qin Zhao wasn't willing to do this. After all, they were an intelligent race, not a bunch of wild beasts. Therefore, Qin Zhao preferred to negotiate with them peacefully. However, the crypt demons around him were filled with hostility. When the entrance to their ruins was discovered by humans, they had no intention of becoming enemies with humans. They would only attack when humans entered the ruins. But that time, Qin Zhao had used them to fight the humans head-on. As a result, they suffered heavy losses. Vinny's nerves were taut, and her emotions were extremely nervous. She could feel that the crypt demons were about to attack. Beep, but just then Qin Zhao's phone rang. The crypt demons jumped in fright. The encirclement, which had been slowly approaching, retreated a few more steps. Chen Zhao picked up his phone and saw that it was Fei Lai. "Qin, you're not coming back tonight?" "Oh, something came up. I'll be back later," Chen Zhao said. "You don't have to leave me dinner. Come back soon. I miss you." "Okay, darling." Chen Zhao hung up. Just then his phone rang again. Chen Zhao picked it up. It was Klaus' voice. President, did you solve your problem? Not yet. Do you need reinforcements? No need. Play in Las Vegas first. Come pick me up when I'm done. Klaus hung up. Just then, the female crypt demon walked out. Human, you shouldn't have come back here. I haven't settled the score with you for last time. Did you forget what you did to me? Huh? You can actually talk. You couldn't talk last time. Chen Zhao was very surprised. Winnie looked at the petite crypt demon in surprise. She was also very surprised. Crypt demons could talk? Human, what do you want? The female asked. I want 2 Nissan species, Chen Zhao said. Do you know what the Nissan is used for? The female crypt demon asked. Yes. How do you know? Your kind told me, Chen Zhao said. There are other races? The female crypt demon was surprised. Their numbers are greater than yours. Which race told you to ask for the Nissan species? Have their Nissan species gone extinct? If they did, they wouldn't have asked for them from you, Chen Zhao said. What's your relationship with that race? We're friends now. Winnie looked at Chen Zhao in surprise. No wonder he dared to swagger into this place. It turned out that he was more familiar with these monsters than she was. However, it seemed that he had an old grudge against them. It was hard to guarantee that these monsters wouldn't attack him. If so many monsters were to attack, the man and himself would be dead. Your Majesty, although you have the advantage in numbers, if a conflict really breaks out, you will definitely be the ones to suffer. Moreover, you will definitely die. If you want other heirs to replace you, then let's start a war. Crypt demons weren't stupid. The crypt demons weren't stupid. Their intelligence wasn't lower than that of humans. Therefore, Chen Zhao believed that the female crypt demon knew how to avoid danger. If he could threaten her before, he could do it again. Moreover, he'd let her go on his own. She should know how to choose. I can't give you the Nissan species. But the Nissan species we use for reproduction have been blocked by the arachne. It's been a long time since we've replenished new Nissan species. Every time a new species is born, they'll be eaten by the arachne after growing to a certain stage. There's nothing we can do. What spider demons? Chapter 1141. Who is she? The female crypt demon looked at Weenie. Weenie immediately grew nervous. She looked at Chen Zhao blankly. We came together, Chen Zhao said. She's injured. Can you help me take care of her? Weena finally heaved a sigh of relief. She was really afraid that Chen Zhao would kill her directly. If I can help you get rid of the spider demons, can you give me 2 Nissan breeds? Sure. Now. Of course, the sooner the better, the female crypt demon said. Then take me there. Also, tell me what's going on with the spider demons. The spider demons have existed together with our history. They always wander around our nests and are especially fond of the Nissan breeds we rear, the female crypt demon said. The female crypt demon said, every once in a while, our Nissan breeds would be attacked by arachne. Many times, the Nissan breeds almost went extinct because of this. Can't you protect the breeding Nissan breeds? We've protected them, but the Nissan species are free-range. They will form their own groups, and we can't always send our own people to follow them. The Nissan species will often run to remote places, and those places are often very dangerous. The female crypt demon paused. Some places lead to the abyss. Their scent will be smelled by the spider demons in the abyss and they'll be hunted by them. Since you can keep the Nissan breeds from going extinct for so long, you must also frequently get rid of the spider demons, right? Can't you get rid of them this time? There are simply too many arachne this time. If we were to fight them directly, I might lose almost all of my offspring. Moreover, there are big arachne crawling out of the abyss this time. I've already sent some of my offspring to probe them, but none of them returned. Weena sat on Lot's back. She also heard the conversation between Chen Zhao and the female crypt demon. To her, the spider demons couldn't even get rid of the crypt demons. It was even more impossible for Chen Zhao to do it alone. However, Chen Zhao didn't seem to realize this problem. After entering the entrance of the ruins, there was no light at all. Everything was in darkness. There wasn't even a signal. This made Weena very anxious. In an unsafe environment, it was easy for people to lose control of their emotions. Moreover, the scorching heat underground would also cause one's thoughts to be muddled. What are the arachni like? Their bodies are very large. Their larvae are about the same size as the largest among us, while adult arachni can reach 3 times our size. The arachni that appeared near our lair this time is led by a large arachni. That arachni is at least 10 times our length when its limbs are spread out. Chen Zhao gasped. So big. What kind of monster was this? Winnie listened to them from behind. It was as if she was listening to a fairy tale. According to the crypt demon's average length of 5 meters, 10 times their body length would be equivalent to 45 meters long. It was unimaginable what kind of monster it would be. After walking for 30 minutes, a light appeared in front of them. The light surprised Chen Zhao. Crypt demons were creatures that hated light, but there was light in their nests. But soon he realized that it was a river of lava. This was a huge karst cave, and it was extremely large. Chen Zhao grinned. Even if he fell into the lava river, he would probably kneel down. Because Chen Zhao had the golden key, he could adapt to an environment that wasn't suitable for humans in a short time. But this didn't mean that he could instantly adapt to the temperature in the lava. The lava would kill Chen Zhao instantly. He wouldn't even have a chance to struggle. These crypt demons didn't hate light. What they hated was sunlight. But this was understandable. After all, Chen Zhao remembered that the crypt demons used to be vampires. They also inherited the vampire's aversion to sunlight. Soon, Chen Zhao realized that he was wrong. This wasn't the lair of the crypt demons. It was the arachni's lair. Chen Zhao discovered some huge creatures that looked like spider crabs in the lava. These should be the so-called arachni. The arachni's body was completely red. Its 8 long and thin limbs stood in the lava. It turned out that their bodies weren't as long as Chen Zhao thought. Instead, their limbs were more than 10 meters long. Their bodies were actually about the same size as the crypt demons. Not only could they survive in the lava, but they could also climb on the walls. However, they had a pair of huge pincers in front of them. They were very thick. When they discovered the approaching crypt demons, the 2 arachni immediately attacked them. The crypt demons also charged up and started fighting them. The male crypt demons had hard outer bones to protect them, but the arachni's huge pincers could still easily crush their bones. The arachni's limbs were also very sharp. They could also easily pierce through the male crypt demon's shells. Soon, a few crypt demons were killed. But the crypt demons still had the advantage in numbers. So, the 2 arachni were still killed by the crypt demon's attacks. Chen Zhao went to the arachni's corpse and checked it. We can only send you up to here. If you go deeper, you'll easily attract big arachni. It's up to you now. Winnie looked at Chen Zhao. She was a bit afraid. These crypt demons were going to leave both her and Chen Zhao here. She had some understanding of the crypt demons and knew that they could communicate. But these arachni behaved like wild beasts. She couldn't communicate at all. If she was left here, she would definitely die a horrible death. Chen Zhao walked into the cave. Lute jumped in with Winnie. How are you going to deal with the arachni? Winnie asked. Kill them, of course, Chen Zhao said matter-of-factly. But you're just one person. Most of the time, I deal with problems alone. This is different from the problems you've faced in the past. There's no difference. Chen Zhao turned to look at the entrance of the cave. The female crypt demon and her offspring hadn't left yet. Why aren't the arachni here yet? Chen Zhao called out. You have to make noise to attract the arachni out of the lava. Their vision is bad, but their hearing is very good. Fine. Chen Zhao took out a grenade from somewhere and threw it into the lava in the distance. Boom. The lava splashed red with red water. Chen Zhao threw another one. The effect was obvious. Arachni immediately jumped out of the lava. The arachni didn't attack Chen Zhao immediately. Instead, it used its huge pincers to knock on the shell on its back. What is it doing? Chapter 1142. Very soon, arachni began to emerge from the surrounding lava rivers. They came in all sizes. Winnie was in complete despair. Clenching his fists, Chen Zhao faced dozens of spider demons. Suddenly, an arachne pounced at Chen Zhao. Its huge claws swiped at Chen Zhao. In Winnie's eyes, the huge spider demon's claws were about to hit Chen Zhao. It could slap Chen Zhao to death. But the moment the claws grabbed Chen Zhao, he suddenly opened his arms. The claws were pushed away. The spider demon's claws couldn't close again. Crack! Chen Zhao tore the pincer off. Winnie's eyes widened as she watched the scene in shock. Disbelief was written all over her face. The spider demon's claws sprayed white liquid. The white liquid sprayed on Chen Zhao's body, but he felt very strange. The liquid seemed to be being absorbed by his body. The texture was very strange. Chen Zhao felt refreshed. So good. He was almost infatuated with the feeling. Chen Zhao tried his best to break the spider demon's claws. More liquid sprayed on his body. Chen Zhao smeared some white liquid on his hand and took a sip. The white liquid was as sweet as honey. Just then, the spider demon raised its sharp limbs and stabbed at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao kicked and broke the limbs. At the same time, he shot the broken limbs up through the spider demon's lower abdomen. The spider demon was quickly killed. Winnie's eyes were filled with shock. One had to know that even the crypt demons would need several of them to kill one of them. But Chen Zhao had easily killed one. After one of their companions was killed, the other spider demons became very excited. Chen Zhao bathed in the white liquid. The essence of the white liquid seeped into his skin, which also excited him. Another spider demon charged over. Chen Zhao was in a state of extreme excitement right now. He charged at the spider demon without any regard for his own safety. Winnie had thought that it was suicide. After all, the difference in size was too big. Plus, the spider demon had a hard shell to protect itself. But Chen Zhao shattered the spider demon's front claws and stabbed a piece into the spider demon's main body. Winnie finally understood why Chen Zhao had the courage to come here alone. Why could he make a deal with the crypt demons? This guy was simply a monster. Chen Zhao killed the two spider demons and absorbed the white liquid in their bodies. He even dug out their flesh and squeezed the liquid out. Suddenly, a boulder weighing more than 10 tons was hurled over from afar. "Be careful!" Vinny shouted in alarm. The 10-ton boulder smashed toward Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao immediately controlled the dark serum. The dark serum under his feet suddenly expanded, but it was unavoidably contaminated by the surrounding lava. However, the strange thing was that the dark origin liquid did not evaporate. The lava was not extinguished by the dark original fluid. The dark serum and magma fused together. Under Chen Zhao's control, it turned into a red and black blade. He easily cut the boulder into 2 halves. Weena's face was filled with disbelief. What was going on? Chen Zhao was also surprised. He didn't know that the dark serum could fuse with lava. At this time, a giant arachne crawled out from the depths of the lava river and onto the cavern wall. The arachne's main body was more than 10 meters long. Each of its limbs was more than 20 meters long. Its 2 claws were like hammers striking the ground. This should be the big arachne. It was the one who'd thrown the boulder. It was obvious how strong it was. It was really too big. Chen Zhao looked at the big arachne. He could feel his blood boiling. There seemed to be something about this arachne that was attracting him. Chen Zhao charged at the big arachne without a care. The arachne along the way immediately stopped Chen Zhao. But right now, Chen Zhao seemed to be possessed. It was an instinctive impulse. He didn't even care about the arachne that came to stop him. The liquid formed by the dark serum and magma turned into countless strange-shaped blades. This was a real mountain of knives and a sea of fire. Instantly, dozens of arachne were cut open. At the same time, the dark serum seeped into their shells and extracted the dark serum from their bodies. Chen Zhao charged to the big arachne and tore its claws apart. Weenie thought that this would be a thrilling battle. But the result was far beyond her expectations. It was a one-sided slaughter. When the big arachne appeared, it indeed displayed terrifying power. But Chen Zhao was even more terrifying. He tore open the arachne's shell. Chen Zhao saw a golden substance in the arachne's shell. It looked like magma. It was like crab paste and gave off an alluring fragrance. The big arachne wasn't completely dead yet. It tried to attack Chen Zhao with its claws. but Chen Zhao just laid it on the golden substance and stuffed it into his mouth. Compared to it, Chen Zhao was more like a man-eating monster. The golden substance was the same as the white liquid, but it was purer. Chen Zhao felt the power of the earth. This power filled every corner of Chen Zhao's body. It was as if every cell was absorbing the golden substance excitedly. Chen Zhao burped, but he was still stuffing the golden substance into his mouth. He didn't want to waste a single bit. He wanted to take all of the big arachne's power. It was the essence from the abyss. Whether it was the crypt demon at the entrance or Weenie watching at the scene, they were all frightened by the scene. Compared to the arachne, Chen Zhao was clearly scarier. Around him, there was a substance that was intertwined with darkness and flames. It was like a liquid, constantly churning. All the arachne were killed by the liquid. This was the power of the earth. Chen Zhao felt it, but it wasn't enough. Not enough, far from enough. This was the essence of the earth. Chen Zhao suddenly understood what Old Turtle had said before. Go to the depths of the earth and comprehend it. This was the essence of the earth. But the big arachne's earth essence wasn't enough for Chen Zhao. The glutton devoured all of the big arachne's flesh. Only an empty shell was left. Chen Zhao glanced at the upstream of the magma river. It was surging out from the depths of the cave. It was also where the big arachne had come out. Chen Zhao really wanted to charge in, but he wasn't confident that he could leave alive. Even if he absorbed the earth essence from the big arachne, it was only enough to satisfy his appetite. But Chen Zhao only had a preliminary understanding of the emptiness of the earth. In the end, Chen Zhao gave up on the idea of entering the magma river. Right now, he couldn't resist the heat of the magma. Perhaps he should continue training. With the Golden Key's ability to adapt and evolve, Chen Zhao believed that as long as he continued training, he could get used to the magma's temperature in no time. Chapter 1143. Chen Zhao returned to the entrance of the cave. All the crypt demons were even more wary of Chen Zhao. They couldn't see anything, but they knew what had just happened. Chen Zhao had slaughtered all the invading spider demons, including the big spider demon that he couldn't handle. When can I get what I want? Chen Zhao asked. Wait, the female crypt demon said. We need to enter the nest of the Nissan species. The male crypt demons started to enter the cave. There was a tunnel in the other corner of the cave. A while later, the crypt demons brought out some baby Nissan species. 2 of the Nissan pups were sent to Chen Zhao. This is our promise. You need the Nissan species. Chen Zhao picked up the 2 baby Nissan species. Most animals were quite cute when they were young. The Nissan species were the same. They were pink and tender, looking like domestic pigs. Oh, if there are more spider demons next time, I'll be happy to help you clean them up, Chen Zhao said. Even though Chen Zhao hadn't completely understood the earth, absorbing the earth essence from the big spider demons still improved him greatly. It was a real improvement. It was as if all the cells in his body were alive. The feeling was similar to falling from a high place. But it wasn't exactly the same. They were 2 completely opposite feelings. But they could both make his cells alive. Falling from a high place made his body feel light, as if he was going to ride the wind to the west. But the earth essence made Chen Zhao feel heavy, as if he was a huge rock. Winnie followed Chen Zhao out of the crypt demon's nest. The crypt demons sent the 2 to the door. Chen Zhao sent Winnie to where she'd parked her 4-wheeled motorcycle. At the same time, he drove 12 kilometers away. Okay, Miss Police, I'll send you out of this restricted area and then call for help. Also, for the sake of your wrath, you better watch your mouth. Then Chen Zhao turned and left. Klaus parked the car where Chen Zhao had gotten off. He saw Chen Zhao return with the 2 piglets. Klaus was a bit confused. Chen Zhao had gone out for an entire afternoon and only brought back 2 piglets? Of course, Klaus didn't understand, but he didn't think too much about it. When he reached the headquarters, it was already midnight. However, he told Klaus to fly him to the crypt demon ruins. Klaus, are you coming in with me or staying here? Back in Las Vegas, Chen Zhao wasn't familiar with the crypt demon's lair, and there was quite a grudge between them. Therefore, Chen Zhao didn't want Klaus to take the risk. However, Chen Zhao wasn't worried about the crypt demons here. At least there wouldn't be any conflicts. Klaus had been here before, so there wouldn't be any danger. Guild leader, I can't stand the heat. I'll stay here. All right. Chen Zhao could understand that not everyone could adapt to such a hot environment. Chen Zhao carried the piglet into the nest. Soon, he encountered the patrolling crypt demons. Chen Zhao's scent was rather familiar to the crypt demons. The crypt demon took the initiative to lead the way. Chen Zhao followed the crypt demon and soon arrived at the underground pyramid. The old crypt demon appeared at the entrance of the pyramid. He smelled the little piglet in Chen Zhao's arms and immediately trotted over. Human, is that a Nissan in your arms? Yes, 2 young ones. Is that okay? Yes, of course. That's great. The old crypt demon was very happy. Chen Zhao put the piglet down. Oh, I heard that the Nissan species attract arachne, right? Human, you know about arachne? I've encountered arachne before, Chen Zhao said. That's right, the old crypt demon answered. We also raised Nissan species in the past, and arachne had a huge impact on their extinctions. How about this? Chen Zhao said. I'll give you a way to contact me. If you encounter arachne, you can tell me. I can help you for free. Human, you want arachne, right? Yes. Chen Zhao didn't deny it. Our race has a way to find arachne. Oh? A way to find arachne? Chen Zhao's eyes brightened. Arachne's dung is the food of the earth locust, which is the food of the Nissan species, and arachne like to eat the Nissan species, the old crypt demon said. For a long time in the past, our race didn't have any Nissan species, so we could only rely on the earth locust to survive. That's why we would search for traces of arachne. Places where arachne appear will usually leave their dung, so our race is very sensitive to arachne's scent. Especially in our race, there are a few races that can detect extremely thin traces of arachne in the air through their dung. If our arachne enters our nest, we'll discover it immediately. We also know the locations of some shallow arachne nests. Over the past thousands of years, we've found many. How deep does this place lead to? Chen Zhao asked. Very deep. Using your human measurement unit, we've already found a depth of 10,000 meters. Chen Zhao thought about it and felt that it was reasonable. The crypt demon race wasn't big, but it wasn't small either. Without enough space to move around and a large enough ecological chain, they wouldn't be able to sustain the survival and reproduction of the race. Therefore, there must be an even larger underground transportation network here. However, even our race is unable to descend any deeper into the region. If I want to go down, will there be any problems? Since you want to chase arachne, you definitely won't be afraid of them. But the deeper you go, the higher the temperature will be. There will also be other dangerous creatures. Arachne aren't the only dangerous creatures deep underground. There are also complicated underground caves. Your human senses are very weak and can't sense the direction. Chen Zhao thought about it. This was indeed a troublesome thing. The deeper he went, the higher the temperature, but the temperature was actually the least of Chen Zhao's worries. Russia had once excavated a cave that was more than 12 kilometers deep. The temperature at the bottom of the cave reached 180 degrees. This temperature might be fatal to most creatures, but Chen Zhao could endure it. But it was precisely the direction that became the biggest problem. Without Peugeot, it was easy for human senses to get lost. This was a basic human sense and couldn't be changed. Even well-trained soldiers couldn't change it, unless they had a super brain that could remember all the characteristics of the path. But I can help you draw a map, the old crypt demon said. You can draw. Chapter 1144. Chen Zhao suspected that if the old crypt demon could study further, he could definitely get a degree. Oh, you humans seem to like spider meat, the old crypt demon said. The old crypt demon said, although we don't like arachne meat and find it disgusting, you humans like it very much. How do you know? Did you forget that humans used to live here? Chen Zhao just remembered that some human scholars had been locked up here. The old crypt demon's knowledge was also taught by those human scholars. If you want, I'll get some for you. You have crypt demon meat here? I just killed 2 spider demons 2 days ago, the old crypt demon said. Their race was much stronger than the crypt demons in Las Vegas. At least, they definitely outnumbered the crypt demons in Las Vegas. Give it all to me. I'll try. A while later, the crypt demon took out the dismembered spider meat. Chen Zhao also chatted with the old crypt demon about many things. They had a common understanding that working together was more beneficial than being enemies. They didn't have any conflicts of interest. The supernatural organization could give them some help. When necessary, they could also become the organization's combat power. When Chen Zhao returned home, it was already past 2 in the morning. Chen Zhao took the spider meat and put it in the space crevice. Recently, Blackie had been busy building his new home on the beach. Chen Zhao was used to living with Blackie. He also hoped that Blackie would move in with him. To live with Chen Zhao. Blackie also knew some human secrets. When both Chen Zhao and Fei Lai were in the bedroom, he wouldn't barge in recklessly. Plus, Chen Zhao and Blackie were used to doing research together. It didn't matter if it was magical or medical. Chen Zhao entered the space crevice. Blackie was instructing the inferior demons to load some materials. After the materials were packed, Chen Zhao transported them to the beach. Chen Zhao, why are you here today? I killed some underground creatures today. I heard they're delicious, so I'm studying them to make sure they don't have any negative side effects. Oh? Underground creatures? What kind? Let's talk in the lab first. Chen Zhao took out a spider's limb. This creature is like an enlarged spider crab, but they have a pair of huge pincers that can reach up to 50 meters long. These creatures also have a milky white liquid that can slightly increase my power. The white liquid should be their blood, but the effect isn't obvious with the blood of a dozen or so spider demons. Chen Zhao took out a spider demon's limb and said, "This creature is like an enlarged spider crab." As he spoke, he extracted a small piece of flesh from the arachne's limb and placed it in a test tube, mixing it with the liquid. Chen Zhao had purchased a large number of medical machines in the lab for his and Blackie's research. In the space crevice, Blackie could use any equipment. After analyzing the components, Blackie handed a report to Chen Zhao. The flesh of this arachne is extremely nutritious and very beneficial to you humans. Blackie said, there's also a substance similar to crab amino acid, but it's different. This amino acid is very active. I soaked my bones in it and found that this amino acid can absorb other substances in the liquid and repair the bones. Chen Zhao was surprised. Amino acid was a chemical, but many plants and animals were rich in amino acids. The first amino acid he'd successfully extracted was from winter bamboo shoots. However, because amino acids were extracted from different plants and animals, there would be some differences in function. If some edible amino acids were added to dishes, they would become extremely delicious. Of course, synthetic amino acids were not suitable for consumption. Natural amino acids were the ultimate taste that humans pursued. For example, the reason why some seafood would taste so delicious after cooking was because it contained rich natural amino acids. After humans ate amino acids, they would not be absorbed directly. Instead, they would be broken down into small molecules by digestive enzymes in the stomach. Then, they would enter other organs through the bloodstream and be recombined into proteins before being absorbed by the human body. Why did people with internal functional injuries need to eat seafood for a long time? It was because many kinds of seafood were rich in amino acids. Amino acids could repair the liver and other parts. Moreover, this repair was selective. The low molecules after amino acids were broken down would remain in the bloodstream. Whatever protein an organ needed, it would automatically absorb the low molecules in the bloodstream and recombine in the organ. Therefore, some seafood was the first choice to nourish the body. However, pregnant women were not recommended to eat it because their body functions were not stable due to pregnancy reactions. If they consumed too much amino acids, it would worsen pregnancy reactions. Therefore, they could only eat little or no seafood. Some pharmaceutical companies made shark bone powder. It was quite effective for bone injuries. Chen Zhao and Blackie spent the entire night in the lab, especially analyzing and studying the amino acids of this crab. Qin Zhao found that the amino acids were very effective for bone repair. With sufficient nutrients, the effect was more than 10 times better than the body's natural recovery. Moreover, after absorbing the amino acids, the bones would become tougher. It was almost an instant effect for patients with osteoporosis. Good stuff, Qin Zhao exclaimed. Qin Zhao thought of Risvar's injury. It was a good chance for him to test it. Of course, Qin Zhao was not doing human experiments for no reason. He had to make sure there would be no side effects first. Then he could experiment. Qin Zhao and Blackie thought for a long time and named the substance bone amino acids. The next day, when Fei Lai woke up, she realized that Qin Zhao was not in bed. But before she could wash up, she smelled a strong seafood smell in the air. Fei Lai frowned. She thought that an inferior demon had made some seafood. She grumbled inwardly. She couldn't eat seafood because she was pregnant. Why would an inferior demon make seafood? But when she went to the kitchen, she realized that Qin Zhao was making seafood soup. Qin, how come you're making breakfast? Qin Zhao handed a bowl of seafood soup to Fei Lai. Here, drink it. What seafood is this? It's not seafood, but it tastes like crab. Fei Lai tasted it. The freshness spread in her mouth. Phew, so delicious. Qin, what's this made? Chapter 1145. Darling, I want more. Give me more. Sorry, darling, I can't. Qin Zhao covered the pot. You can't drink too much. Qin Zhao pushed Fei Lai out of the kitchen. She came out unwillingly. On the other hand, after Jerlin woke up, Qin Zhao filled a big bowl for her. Just then, Evely came too. Evely came especially early these days. Because Qin Zhao was very busy every day. He was almost free in the mornings. So, Evely came early. Every time she thought about how Qin Zhao had taken 10 million from her, she felt depressed. She was probably the most miserable world champion in the world. Forget it. Thinking about the test last night, Evely lost her courage again. It smells so good. Evely entered the house and smelled the tempting aroma. Evely, you're here. Come and try my seafood soup. Delicious. What crab is this? Sea crab. Evely rolled her eyes. You said it's seafood soup. Of course, I know it's sea crab, but what kind? I'll get the chef to prepare some too. I can't buy it, Qin Zhao said. It wasn't the first time Evely had eaten ingredients that she couldn't buy from Qin Zhao. She'd been eating lunch at Qin Zhao's house every day, so she'd already eaten many ingredients that couldn't be bought from the market. Of course, she still coaxed and pestered Qin Zhao to get some ingredients. In the past, Evely wouldn't have imagined that she'd come into contact with such fresh ingredients. She didn't know how to differentiate food from food. What? Give me some. This kind of crab is not suitable for you to eat. This kind of crab will increase the weight and toughness of your bones. If you have some bone problems, you can eat more, but it will also increase the weight of your bones and slow down your swimming speed. Of course, the effect was actually very small. It might only be 0.1 seconds. However, for any athlete in a racing event, 0.01 seconds was a crucial time. For your food, I should consider retiring early. Of course, this was just a joke. All athletes were pursuing a longer career. Most of those who retired early did so for various reasons. Very few athletes say, I've earned enough money, so I don't want to compete anymore. There were also some athletes who had made too much money, which caused them to lose their conscience. They began to squander money and neglect training. The final result was a serious decline in their competitive condition, and they had to choose to retire. Evely, on the other hand, was very competitive. She did not want to end her career prematurely. Moreover, as long as she was still in the sports world, she had the highest moment of glory. Just like every actor hoped to become a superstar. Which superstar is willing to stay away from the camera? Who didn't want to be the center of attention forever? In the afternoon, Qin Zhao went straight to Risvar's house. Del was there too. When he saw Qin Zhao walk in with the box, he snatched it away immediately. Del, this isn't for you. Del knew very well that every time Qin Zhao brought food, it was always addictive. Whether it was wine, ingredients, or fruits. Del was sure that Chen Zhao would always provide the best. Del did not care so much. The moment he opened the box, the rich aroma of crab meat wafted over. Del, put it down. Chen gave it to me. But my chest is starting to hurt again. Seeing that Del had snatched his thing, Risfar was furious. You're right. He also knew that Chen Zhao's gift was definitely good. Chen, where's mine? It's in my trunk, Chen Zhao said. Take it when you go back. It's very good for Johnny's injuries. Ronnie and Vera can eat it too. It's good for their development. Yummy. Del grabbed a piece of crab meat and stuffed it into his mouth. Chen Zhao sat down before Risfar. Johnny, if Del eats your portion, there won't be any left. This crab meat can cut the time you spend in the wheelchair by half. Risfar nodded. You're right. Del, you heard me. If you don't give it back, I'll tear your house down. Del's and Risfar's manors were less than 100 meters apart, so they often visited each other. Tear it down. I want to live in a hotel now. Oh, I heard from Del that you suggested the renovation of the hotel. Is that right? Risfar asked. Yes, Chen Zhao answered. If it was someone else's suggestion, Risfar might not accept it. On the other hand, Risfar trusted Chen Zhao's suggestion. See? I told you it was Chen's suggestion. Okay, let's do it. Actually, in China, many architects combined feng shui. This was because some elements of feng shui matched the characteristics of buildings. Feng shui could also be explained in a scientific way. I'm leaving now. Del, come with me to get the crab meat. Oh, Del, I'll be right back. Del followed Chen Zhao. After a few dozen meters, he asked impatiently. Chen, did Master agree to take me as a disciple? Chen Zhao glanced at Del. This is her address. Go find her yourself. I've already told her, but she said she needs to check your talent first. If you have the talent, she's willing to take you in as a disciple. If you don't, then don't mention it again. Also, before you have a master, don't call her master. You can't just call her master like that. Okay, I'll go now. You just told Johnny that you'll be right back. Now you're leaving him aside? Then when do I go? Decide. I'm leaving. Wait, where's my crab meat? I forgot. Chen Zhao took out a box of unprocessed crab meat from the trunk. Why is it so little? It's more nutritious than the taste. Share it with Faith when you go back. Don't finish it all by yourself. I'm asking you why Risfar has so much more than me. He's injured. You're not. That's not fair. Okay, I'm really leaving this time. Ignoring Del's complaints, Chen Zhao got into the car and drove away. Then he took out his phone and called Li Qing. Auntie Li, I already told Del. He should go find you in a few days. Del isn't a bad person. If he has the opportunity, Auntie Li, why don't you consider it? Chen Zhao's main concern was that Li Qing was all alone. Her son and daughter-in-law had both died in a car accident. She had to consider someone to take care of her when she died. In China, a disciple was like a son. Chapter 1146. The next day, Del went to the address Chen Zhao had given him. But he didn't go alone. He brought Fisher with him. Fisher, do you remember what I said? Remember, when you see a grandma with black hair and eyes like Uncle Chen, you have to call her grandmaster in Chinese. Soon, the car stopped in front of the motel. Del carried Fisher out of the car and went to the counter. Checking in? How many rooms? Ethan asked, looking up at Del. No, I'm not checking in, Del said. I'm looking for Miss Li Qing. Can you call her out for me? Ethan couldn't help but raise his head again and study Del carefully. He thought to himself, could Li Qing have offended this man? Who are you? Why are you looking for Li? Something. What? Del was unhappy to see Ethan asking so many questions. Why should I tell you? Li is my employee. She won't be soon, Del said proudly. Del's answer made Ethan even more certain that Del was here for trouble. Li didn't come to work today. Come tomorrow. Give me her address. I'll go find her. How do I know where she lives? Actually, Li Qing lived in the motel. Because of Chen Zhao, Ethan took special care of Li Qing. But on the other hand, it was also because of Li Qing's personality. She worked hard in the hotel, and she saved Ethan's life. Thus, Ethan was also very concerned about Li Qing. He didn't care who the man before him was. Even if the police came, he would still protect her. "Dad, this grandpa is lying," Fisher said. Dell looked at Ethan. He was unhappy, but he still said patiently, "Listen, old man. If you give me her address, the 1,000 is yours." Ethan was even more unhappy. He didn't even look at the 1,000. "Do I look like someone who needs $1,000? What do you want?" "I said that Li didn't come today and she won't come tomorrow. Also, you're not welcome here." "Do you know who I am? I just need to say the word and I can buy this hotel. Why don't you buy it for me to see? This is my territory, get out of here." At this moment, Li Qing came downstairs. "Then what happened?" Li Qing walked to the counter and saw Dell. "Why you here?" Dell put Faith on the ground. "Greetings, Master." Grand disciple greets Grandmaster. Faith Shui had practiced these words for an entire day. Li Qing was dumbfounded. So was Ethan. What was this? Ethan scratched his head. He had thought that Dell was looking for trouble. But if this was considered looking for trouble, this method of looking for trouble was too unique. Or were they Li Qing's juniors? However, did the Chinese have such a strange custom of meeting their elders? Moreover, these two people, one big and one small, were definitely white. Or were they of mixed blood? Faith was a mischievous child. She raised her head and looked at Li Qing with teary eyes. Li Qing's heart trembled when he met Faith Shui's eyes. "She's your daughter?" "Yes, Master." "Get up first. I haven't agreed to take you as my disciple." "Master, if you don't agree, I won't get up," Dell said resolutely. "Yes, don't get up," Faith repeated. "Your daughter was born with wisdom eyes. She's good for cultivation. As for you?" Li Qing looked at Dell. "It's not that you can't cultivate, but your talent is mediocre. If you want to continue on this path, you'll probably be mediocre for the rest of your life." Dell immediately said, "Master, Faith's eyes were born with malformed eyes. Qin cured her eyes." "Oh, is it Mr. Qin?" Li Qing looked at Faith. Her love for talent had risen. "Get up first." "Master, will you take me as your disciple?" "Get up first." Dell hesitated for a long time, still waiting for Li Qing's words. Just then, Faith stood up and pulled Dell up. "Dad, Grandmaster definitely wants to take me in. There must be some test." Dell looked at Li Qing, who nodded. This little girl was young, but her mind was bright and she was very clever. She was indeed a rare talent. If she could inherit Qingyi sect, she might be able to make it flourish. "Mr. Ethan, I'll take them to the back for a while. I'll ask for an hour's leave." "Master, I have a hotel. You can go there. You don't have to do anything." Dell didn't like Ethan. Li Qing glanced at Dell. "Don't mention this again. I won't leave the hotel." Dell shut up, feeling like he was asking for trouble. Ethan looked at Dell, gloating. Then he said to Li Qing, "Go." Li Qing took Dell and Faith to the backyard. Ethan picked up the phone. "Chen, a father and daughter came to the hotel to find Li. They mentioned you." "Poor they. You know that Auntie Qing has some ghost-catching and demon-exorcising abilities. That night, I asked her to go to his hotel to exorcise ghosts. Then he felt that she was very capable and wanted to learn from her." "Oh, where are they now? Did she agree?" "I don't know. Auntie Qing took them to the backyard." Ethan hesitated, wondering if he should sneak over. Li Qing brought Dell and Faith to the backyard. "You're Dell, right?" "Yes, Master. I'm Li Qing, the current successor of Qingyi sect in China's Taimu Mountain. There are 3 rules in our sect. Don't use our spells to do evil, don't rape, and don't cheat. You might be able to do it." "Master, I can do it." Dell answered Li Qing's question without even thinking. What kind of question was that? Even without the rules, he wouldn't do such things. "Also, your talent is mediocre. I'll teach you a spell. If you can learn it in 7 days, you'll become an official disciple of Qingyi sect. Otherwise, our fate ends here." Dell looked troubled. "Master, is it very difficult?" "It's the most basic spell, Yin Yang Ai," Li Qing said. "This spell isn't unique to our sect. Basically, all warlocks know this spell. If you can't even learn Yin Yang Ai, you're really not suitable for it." "Fine. Please teach me, Master." This is the incantation. Take it and learn it yourself. Looking at the dense Chinese words, Dell got a headache. His current level of Mandarin was limited to his spoken language. He knew nothing about writing. Master, it's all Chinese. Chapter 1147. Dell looked at the incantation with a bitter expression. How was he supposed to practice this? He couldn't even understand it. Dad, you're so stupid. Doesn't Uncle Chen know? Ask him. Dell slapped his forehead. That's right. Chen Zhao knew and he could teach him too. Dell immediately drove to Mirror Lake. When he reached Mirror Lake, Faith had already forgotten about her mission. She charged into the mansion. Jerlin, I'm here. Seeing that there was no one in the living room, Faith ran to the front yard. Seeing Jerlin playing in the lake, she jumped in without even taking off her clothes. Walter, who'd been dozing off on the shore, immediately jumped in. Walter was like a protective dog. It didn't matter if the kids in the water needed help or not. As long as the parents weren't around, he would follow. This was what he'd been taught since he was young. Dell walked in and saw Chen Zhao and Fei Lai lying in the sun. Chen, Fei Lai, Dell greeted. How was it? Did it go well? Chen Zhao asked. Chen, come here for a second. Just say it. Dell glanced at Fei Lai. Does Fei Lai know? She knows more than you do. Dell took out the incantation. This is the incantation my master gave me. Oh, I succeeded. Not really. Master told me to learn this in a week, or he won't take me in. Chen Zhao glanced at the incantation. It was a simple incantation. It was simple for Chen Zhao. Not to mention Chen Zhao's current level. Just the content on it was easy to understand. Pressing the Ling Shu acupuncture point with his index finger, he filled his head with qi. Then he focused on his eyes. This mnemonic formula was introduced and explained in the most common vernacular. If it was a little more profound, it would be written in classical Chinese, or even in the more obscure Taoist narrative form. Even Chen Zhao found it hard to read, let alone Dell. Chen, help me translate the content and then teach me. Chen Zhao translated the incantation into English and recited it. That simple? Yes, but whether you can learn it or not depends on your ability. Then how do I know if I've mastered it? Let's go find a graveyard. If you can master this yin-yang eye, you will definitely be able to see anything unclean. Dell followed Chen Zhao's translation and turned to Chen Zhao. Chen, I feel like I don't need to practice at all. It's very simple. Very good. Since you're so confident, go to the graveyard tonight and try your yin-yang eye. Chen, come with me tonight. I don't dare to go alone. If a spirit controller doesn't even dare to go to a graveyard, how can he be a spirit controller? I'm not a proper spiritualist yet. Chen, come with me. I'm not going. Chen Zhao rejected Dell's request without hesitation. Wasn't it better to rub Fei Lai to sleep? Why would he follow Dale to the cemetery? Chen, come with me. I really don't dare to go alone. Chen, just go with Dell. Fei Lai felt that Dell was quite pitiful. Chen Zhao's face was gloomy. He should have just found an evil spirit. Why did she have to accompany Dell to the cemetery? Chen Zhao was confused. Dell didn't leave at all. He dragged Chen Zhao so that he couldn't leave even if he wanted to. After dinner, Chen Zhao was dragged into the car. Faith stayed at home. Fei Lai could take care of her and Jerlin could play with her. She was already so happy that she didn't want to leave at all. Chen Zhao sat in the passenger seat with a dejected expression. Because of Chen Zhao's company, Dell's expression was relaxed. Dell, just find a cemetery nearby. Of course, the nearest cemetery was at least 50 kilometers away. After all, there couldn't be a cemetery in the city. Because Chen Zhao would occasionally go to the cemetery with Blackie, he was familiar with the cemeteries in LA and the surrounding areas. Lakin Cemetery. Ever since it was built, it had been surrounded by all sorts of rumors. All sorts of supernatural events would spread from time to time. After all, it was a cemetery. It would be strange if there weren't any supernatural events. The car stopped beside the cemetery road. Chen Zhao could occasionally see some ethereal figures. They were spirits, but they were all harmless. They didn't even have their own consciousness. They were all people who'd been buried here in the past few days. They would only stay here for 3 or 4 days. Then they would completely disappear from this world. Their consciousnesses would also disappear completely. They couldn't even reach hell. Sometimes, Qinzhao wondered if they'd gone to heaven. But Del couldn't see them. Del first had to learn the yin-yang eye and then go through complicated preparations to barely see their ethereal figures. Qin, I'm ready. Can we start now? If you think we can, then let's start, Qinzhao said calmly. Del began to focus on the direction of the graveyard. He forced his eyelids open and then started exerting force. Chen Zhao was speechless at Del's weird behavior. Use your own thoughts, Chen Zhao said, rolling his eyes. Don't make your eyes bulge out. I'm just warming up. Don't disturb me. Chen Zhao was even more speechless. You're the one who's wrong and you're complaining that I'm noisy? I really shouldn't have come out with this asterisk shoal. More than 10 minutes later, Del was still trying. Finally, Chen Zhao couldn't help but ask, how is it? Do you see it? Wait a bit more. It'll be done soon. Oh, there are spirits in the cemetery, right? Yes, Chen Zhao answered. He leaned against the window and looked in the direction of the cemetery. I see it. I see it. There's a woman in a black dress. She's looking over. She's noticed us. Chen Zhao saw it too, but the next sentence disappointed Del. She's not a spirit. She's a living person. The woman walked toward Chen Zhao and Del's car. Why are you here so late? The woman sounded proud. Police. Why should we answer your question? Del said unhappily. He'd thought that the woman was a spirit, but he was greatly disappointed. Chen Zhao could feel that the woman in the black dress had a very powerful magic power. We're here to relax, Chen Zhao said, smiling. Relax? This is a cemetery. His parents passed away not long ago and were buried here, Chen Zhao said. He misses them, so he came to visit. Is there a problem? Del was stunned. His parents had been dead for more than 10 years. Why would Chen Zhao lie? Chapter 1148. You're a woman and you're not scared. Why should we be scared? Del was a simple-minded person. At least outside of business, Del always spoke and acted without thinking. It was like this in the past, present, and future. Then whatever. The woman in the black dress looked at the two coldly and turned to leave. Crazy. Del's voice wasn't loud, but the woman clearly heard him. She paused, but she didn't turn around to argue with Del. Instead, she continued walking and soon disappeared into the darkness. Do you know that you just offended a witch? Chen Zhao asked with a smile. Witch? That's right. She's a witch, and a very powerful one. Why didn't you tell me? Forget it. She probably doesn't have any bad intentions. She didn't do anything to you either. Let's go. Chen, are you sure she didn't cast any curse or magic on me? Really? If you keep blabbering, I'll kick you out of the car and you can go back yourself. Then I won't ask any more. What do we do now? What do you mean, what do you mean? If you want to continue, then continue. If not, go home and sleep. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. Chen, how do you know that she's a witch? Of course. Do you think she's normal to appear here in the middle of the night? Maybe she's here to visit the grave. Forget it. Let's go home and sleep. No. I need to master the yin-yang eye as soon as possible. Let's not practice in the grave. I'll find an evil spirit tomorrow and send it to your house. It'll follow you every day. If you master it, you'll know immediately. No, I don't want an evil spirit. Do you want me to have nightmares if you let an evil spirit follow me? It's better than having you come to the grave every night. But Faith's not safe at home. Forget it. Chen Zhao thought about it and realized that it made sense. Adults didn't care, but it wasn't good for children to interact with evil spirits. Chen Zhao's house was the same, even though he only interacted with supernatural things. However, he wouldn't let little Jerlin interact with Feilai at all. At the very least, he wouldn't let them come into contact with spirits like evil spirits that were left in the human world because of obsessions. If you want to practice the yin-yang eye next time, come to the graveyard yourself. I don't want to accompany you to the graveyard. under a tomb in the Laken Public Offering Center. Below the tomb was a suite with all kinds of living facilities. At the same time, there were 3 people living in this tomb. One of them was Felisa, who had attacked him a few days ago, and her teacher, Sibylla. At this time, the woman in the black dress walked in from outside the tomb. "Mahej, where did you go?" Sibylla asked. "Teacher, I saw someone outside the tomb, so I went to take a look," Mahej said. "What about the other 2? Who are they?" "They are just ordinary people," Mahej said. Feisha looked at Mahej and said, "Mahej, are you sure those 2 are ordinary people? Maybe they are pretending to be ordinary people, or maybe they are agents of the Magic Palace." "Not really," Mahej said. "They don't know me. I used some magic just now, but they didn't react at all." "Mahej, the people from the Magic Palace are already in LA, Sibylla said with concern. "They're looking for us now. It's best if we don't go out. If you or Feisha fall into their hands, it'll be troublesome." "Teacher, I understand," Mahej replied calmly. "LA isn't safe either. I didn't expect there to be such a powerful spiritualist in LA, and a wizard at that." Sibylla looked at his bandaged left hand. "Teacher, you shouldn't have stopped me that day. If we work together, we can definitely kill that asterisk shoal. You didn't even know who he is and attacked him so casually. Are you sure the power behind him won't take revenge?" Sibylla scolded. "He attacked me first. He killed all the ghosts I raised. They were half a year's worth of hard work. It's fine if we're on vacation, but we're on the run now. You still want to provoke the local power? Are you afraid that you're not obvious enough? Am I just going to watch my hard work go to waste? We need to preserve our strength. We can't fight pointless battles," Sibylla said. "Look at Mahej. She knows how to endure and take a step back. She won't just attack people she doesn't care about. She's she and I'm me." Feisha had always disliked Mahej. They were both Sibylla's students, but Mahej was always ahead above her. No matter what, Mahej always seemed to be better than her. This made Feisha hate Mahej. Mahej did not react to her teacher's compliment. She just stood there calmly, as if nothing had anything to do with her. "Teacher, we've been hiding here for more than 10 days. When will our plan start?" Mahej asked. "Not yet. I hired a special bodyguard. It won't be too late to carry out our plan after he arrives." "Teacher, we don't need a bodyguard. I don't think any bodyguard can protect us," Feisha said. "Unless you can hire Superman to be our bodyguard." "You're right. The bodyguard I hired is Superman," Sibylla said with a smile. "Teacher, this joke isn't funny at all. He's not really Superman, but he's very strong," Sibylla said. Just then, Sibylla's phone rang. Sibylla picked it up. "You're here? Okay, I got it. Send it to me." Not long after, a truck stopped outside the tomb. The worker quickly placed a metal box on the road outside the tomb and left in a hurry. Sibylla, Feisha, and Mahej finally came out of the tomb. "Feisha, move it in." Feisha lifted a finger, and the metal box flew up. "What's inside?" "It's so heavy." The metal box looked like an iron coffin, but it was very heavy. It probably weighed more than a ton. After returning to the tomb, Feisha placed the metal box in the living room. "Teacher, can I open this box?" "Yes." Sibylla nodded. Feisha cast a spell, and the nails on the metal box popped open one by one. Then, the lid flew up. A tall, naked man lay inside. "Why is it a man?" Feisha and Mahej were confused. There was a bright red X tattoo on the man's chest. "Is he dead?" Feisha asked, confused. "Teacher, who sent this dead man? What's he for?" "He's our bodyguard." Sibylla walked up and slowly scratched the man's chest with his fingernails. Chapter 1149. When the man opened his eyes, there was a murderous glint in his eyes. Sibylla shook the remote control in his hand, and the man calmed down again. "Ma'am, how can I help you?" "Listen to my orders." Sibylla said, "Any orders?" "Yes, Ma'am, I will listen to your orders." Both Feisha and Mahej felt that there was something strange about this man. Previously, they felt that this man did not have any aura, as if he was dead. When he woke up, he had that cold and merciless look in his eyes. But because of a remote control, he had succumbed to his teacher. "What's your name?" "Mum, I'm X9. "Teacher, who is he?" Fei Sha asked. "Our bodyguard," Sibylla said. He doesn't have any magic waves on him." "Teacher, are you sure he can protect us?" "What abilities do you have?" Sibylla looked at X9. "Proficient in all combat, firearms, and all means of transportation. Expert detection and anti-detection abilities. 15 times the human limit of strength, 8 times the human limit of speed, 9 times the human limit of reaction speed, 19 times the human limit of resistance, 6 times the human limit of recovery, 20 times the human limit of vision, and no sense of fear." Fei Sha was still not convinced. "Teacher, I want to test him." X9, subdue her. "Don't hurt her." Whoosh! Before Fei Sha could react, X9 had already disappeared before Fei Sha's eyes. Fei Sha felt a sharp pain in her neck. X9 had already appeared behind Fei Sha and strangled her. This doesn't count. "He ambushed me," Fei Sha said unwillingly. "Fei Sha, a loss is a loss. Have you forgotten what I taught you?" Sibylla said, "If we were facing the Magic Palace, do you think those witches or agents of the Magic Palace would reason with you? Or a one-on-one fight? And the man who defeated you the other day, he has the same characteristics as X9. That man." Fei Sha's eyes suddenly exploded with anger. "But before that, we need to find Rupert first." "Teacher, are you sure it's okay for the 3 of us to meet?" Mahage asked. "Of course. Do you have any questions?" Sibylla asked. According to the Eastern sage's explanation, after the seal is completed, Fei Sha, Rupert, and I can't meet each other, let alone touch each other. The demon souls in our bodies will merge into one the moment we touch each other, releasing the sealed demon. The demon's soul isn't a threat. The demon's soul is just a spirit. Although it also possesses great strength, it needs a body to sustain its soul after breaking the seal. So, we'll prepare a body for it, a body that's decaying and on the verge of collapse. As long as the demon's soul enters this body, it will decay along with the body. We'll be able to easily defeat this demon, and we'll be able to do something that even the magic temple can't do. "Teacher, I think this is too risky," Mahage said. "Coward." Fei Sha looked at Mahage and said provocatively. Facing Fei Sha's provocation, Mahage remained expressionless. Did Rupert cause any trouble in the past 2 days? Chen Zhao felt that it was definitely because he'd gone to the cemetery last night that he was covered in bad luck. Anyway, he just didn't like everyone today. "President, she's very obedient." "Obedient? How so?" "Apart from practicing magic, she rarely leaves her room." "How does she practice magic? Did she hurt anyone?" Chen Zhao just wanted to find an excuse to punish someone. Then did she say anything provocative?" "I know her. She won't be so obedient. Keep an eye on her," Chen Zhao said matter-of-factly. "Whatever, I'll go to the Tower of Trials." Since his plan to find an excuse failed, Chen Zhao could only enter the Tower of Trials and vent on the monsters inside. Chen Zhao entered the 7th floor. It was a place filled with magma. The volcano in the distance continued to erupt. A large amount of magma and volcanic ash burst out from the volcano and then splashed over an area of tens of kilometers. Just then, a ball of burning rock shot over from the distance, dragging a trail of black smoke behind it. The rock landed before Chen Zhao. Then a 10-meter tall rock giant stood up. The rock giant's body was burning with a high temperature, and the magma was flowing on its body like its blood. Hellfire. That was the name of the rock giant. Immediately, another hellfire descended from the sky, and then another. They were like meteors, falling one after another. Chen Zhao studied the hellfire. It was very strong and there were many of them, but it didn't seem to be as difficult as the demons on the 6th floor. Just then, the hellfire attacked. A hellfire smashed toward Chen Zhao with a scorching fist. Chen Zhao also threw a punch at it. Bang! Hellfire's fist was shattered by Chen Zhao, but Chen Zhao howled in pain and took a step back. Chen Zhao looked at his left fist. It was burned. The hellfire stomped over again. Chen Zhao hurriedly used Qingyi Cloud to wrap his body with magic. With Qingyi Cloud's protection, Chen Zhao wasn't hurt anymore. The hellfire was covered in boiling rocks or magma. If Chen Zhao only used his body, he would be easily burned. However, using Qingyi Cloud would consume a lot of his mana. One had to admit that the hellfire's characteristics put Chen Zhao in unprecedented danger. Chen Zhao took out the bronze sword. Qingyi Cloud couldn't last for too long after all. If it was just a single enemy, using Qingyi Cloud to reduce the enemy's attack power was quite effective. But if there were too many enemies, Qingyi Cloud would become a burden instead. Holding the bronze sword, Chen Zhao smashed a hellfire's head with one slash, then another. But something unexpected happened. The bronze sword was shattered. It was shattered. The bronze sword had been with Chen Zhao for a long time. He never thought it would shatter. It had accompanied Chen Zhao and defeated one strong enemy after another. Chen Zhao had never thought that the bronze sword would shatter. This caught him off guard. A hellfire fist sent him flying. Holding the broken sword, Chen Zhao didn't react at all. Just at this moment, another hellfire attacked. Chen Zhao hurriedly used the dark serum mixed with red magma to cut open another hellfire. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.